The champ of the mic owns a night. With a mind so slick and a suit so clean, he's running this ring like a wrestling machine. From gold-plated deals to jaw-dropping schemes, he's the mastermind of your wildest dreams. Stand up, take note, bow down if you can. It's the Brilliant Show with the Brilliant One. He's the man.
Welcome into the Brilliant Show. Right now, we're going to get with Vladimir Koloff here in just a second. But before we do, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to bring on my favorite client, one of the best in independent wrestling, and that's Vladimir Koloff in just a minute. But before we do, this Friday night, it's Blast to the Future 3, and my client has a chance to win the Lost Art of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship for the second time. You're going to want to see that. There's also a 4-way tag team match to decide who goes on to take on Lost Cause for the Lost Art of Wrestling Tag Team Championships. Also, don't forget, we've got Kimber Fox. We got Asher Andrews tomorrow night right here on The Brilliant Show. And if you want to catch The Brilliant Show, if you can't catch it live, and you want to catch it on anything, there we go with Cajun Heat. I'm sorry. You can catch it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, all podcast platforms, and check us out on Brainbuster Tees. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in my favorite client. Let's bring in Russian Destruction, Vladimir Koloff. What's up, guys? All right, we're going to bring Koloff in. And here he is. Here he is. What's up,
Well,
Russian
well,
Destruction?
well. Brandon Turner, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a Memorial Day. It's Russia's Day of Freedom.
It's mine. Actually, Victory Day is earlier this month for us Ruskies. For us Ruskies. But people celebrate their little Memorial Day. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay because Memorial Day needs more Koloff.
Yes, it does. Always needs more Koloff. Man, remember to hit that like button. And there's Chris Chambers already chiming in. We're going to get to questions here shortly, but remember to hit the like button on this video, share it, comment, ask Big Vlad questions. But Big Vlad, I want to go back. Man, what really sparked your interest into getting to wrestling? Like, I know you've been a wrestling fan since you were a baby, but how did it all start?
100% since a baby. I've been told this story that when I was a baby, my grandmother would put me in the bed with her and we would watch wrestling together. And so basically since day one, I have been a pro wrestling fan. I've been told stories about how I would basically mimic Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon with the toothpick, throw it, everything. Those were my favorites growing up. And from there, I just my entire life, I've been a big pro wrestling fan. And so from there, around at first in 2012, let's go back a little further. 2006, 2007, I was 13, 14. I would actually go to shows and AWF and help set up and tear down the rings at a few shows. And I got to experience the behind the scenes of pro wrestling. From there, that aspect as a kid. And then around 2012, I started training a little bit. It didn't quite work out then. But around 2014, I dipped my toes right back into it. And from there, I really started training. We would train every Thursday. And AWF really is what got me started. I had my first match for AWF September 20th, 2014. So in September, it'll be 11 years since I started.
11 years now. It was under Dwayne, right? So you got to hang out with Alabama Doink. We had Shannon on just a few weeks ago, but tell us what the experience with Dwayne and Alabama Doink was at the time.
Well, let me first by saying that Dwayne, if it wasn't for him, and not just him, there's a few others as time would go by, but if it was not for Dwayne, I don't think I would have gotten started with wrestling, period, because he got me in. I'm not sure that I would have ever had come across anywhere at the time, at least. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I love it so much that I would have eventually found it. But he was a big he was very kind to me as a kid, and he was very kind to me as an adult, and he really he got me going. He got me going. So I'm forever grateful to him and his family for that. With that said, I think it goes without saying if you knew Dwayne that he was a character. Um, I have a lot of funny stories about him. Just breaking when I was breaking in, and just what some of the things that we would do.
Oh,
Um,
you got to tell the flyer story. I've got to hear that one. Come on.
the flyer. Well, depends on which one. I can tell you that in pro wrestling they you pay
Ginger
your
Griffin
dues.
says, "Hey,
Ginger Griffin, let me tell you, Ginger, I'm not a shot put. I'm not shot put midget with shot put power or whatever you call me, nerd. Anyway, um,
Trey Reed hates Ray Fury."
I hate Ray Fury too. Ray Fury is forever an op, forever. I hate him with forever an enemy with all my heart and soul. So, um, paying dues for Big Vlad was a lot of times at around 11 o'clock at night, getting a call from Dwayne. Hey, we're gonna go put out flyers. Okay, so we would go put out flyers, and a lot of the times, it at midnight, all these businesses are closed, so you don't have to ask for permission to put up flyers. You can just flyer the entire town if you want to. That's exactly what we would do. Um, I think the story you wanted me to tell is about the casket mat build up.
Yes.
So one night when I'm paying my dues, Dwayne is like, "I got a casket match with John Heidenreich coming up, and I'm going to put a promo on him, and so we're gonna go to this graveyard, and I'm gonna uh, Sammy Wright.
Sammy
I
Wright.
I hope you hit puberty someday." Um,
That's a good one. I like that.
so I'm gonna go to this graveyard. I'm gonna cut this promo. I'm gonna end the promo with pissing on a grave. That would be a great idea. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're about to do some wild, crazy shit. We get to the graveyard. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning, and sure enough, the gates are locked. They're padlocked shut. And he seriously considered trying to climb over the gate so he could cut the promo. And he ultimately decided against it. But that is just a small example. Yeah, Josh put it best. Dwayne Henderson was a walking reality show. If he would have had reality TV, then he would have blew up. He would have blew up. But as crazy as Dwayne was at times, and how many enemies he may have created in his time, me personally, through the ups and downs, he treated me very well, and I am forever grateful to him for helping me get my foot in the door. And along that way, I've met with Richard Bailey, the mountain man, who really pulled me in and mentored me and helped shape me further. And yeah, from there.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, Mountain Man was a great guy. We're going to get into that. Chris Chambers has a question, and we're going to get to it real quick in just a second. Retro Maniac, what a perfect guest for Memorial. That's right. That's what we was talking about. Oh, man. Sing Pet.
The Crane!
We're going to get to the crane in just a second. Let's get to this question that Chris Chambers had first. Going to hit a hardball question. Some feedback I received was that you'll have to carry Hunter Hendricks. How true is that?
So he's talking about night one of Cross Faith Wrestling's league event in Pensacola of the War Youth Rally. It is me and Hunter Hendricks in a tag team match against Bubby Fish and his partner. And that's wrong, but I'm sure me and Bubby come around. So here's the thing: Hunter Hendricks is literally a child, um,
Yes.
and he's going to have to listen to his Vladdy Daddy that night if he wants to win. Make no mistake about it, I will win with or without him. But if he has to receive a cannonball in the process, he will. So don't piss me off, Hunter.
Matt Clark says he wants to see a team with Big Sal again.
Yes, me and Big Sal teamed up against Conspiracy Force this past Saturday for Combat Sports Pro. So that could very well happen. You never know.
All right, so I want to get into. Hold on. Joe Vlad awaiting you guys back down to Biloxi. That's coming
This
Saturday night.
Saturday night, I'll be in Biloxi. I will be in Biloxi for Combat Sports Pro, the birthday bash with Lucha Locura, who is going to get trashed on Mario
That's
Kart
why.
soon, and Ray Fury. But yes, birthday beatdown this Saturday, May 31st. Big Vlad will be there. So come on. There's no more waiting. Be there Saturday.
There you go. So you got some funny stories about Dwayne. You got to tell me the one that is one of the most famous stories, and that's the hide and right story. That's the Golden Corral. And I want you to, but hold on, I want you to tell me from your perspective, because we've heard the story, but your perspective was very funny. Like, did you
I'm
get a
glad.
free meal
I'm
that
glad.
day?
I'm glad you remembered our conversations. This is great. So the viral video of Dwayne, Alabama Doink, and Heidenreich. I was there for that. I was still very, very, very new in the business, and from that day, I remember getting there that day early to help with it. Uh, Dwayne had towed into the Golden Corral parking lot a car. It was a broken down car that they were going to use. Um, and I can just remember he had this temperature gauge, just like wireless one, where all I had to do was like press the button and like laser beam. And he lasered it. He was checking the temperature all day long on it because it was going to be hot. Where it was very going to be very hot. And I remember I did my match. I want to say my match was a triple threat with Hellfire and Minion. And I could remember afterwards sitting inside the Golden Corral because we got a free meal ticket with it. And so I was eating and watching out the window all of this. What you see on YouTube, I'm watching from inside the Golden Corral, them bumping on the car and going onto Schillinger Road and getting in the ring. It was a wild experience. I feel like I've only been wrestling 10 years, but I feel like I have lived 10 lifetimes because that feels like 10 lifetimes ago. But like the craziness that would happen, you never knew what would happen at an AWF show. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, people were attracted to those shows at the time, especially.
Yeah, I mean they were wild, and you never knew what you were going to get, and you had to be there to see it.
That's right.
He was a very good promoter. He always put the asses in the seats, from what you
Without a
told
doubt.
me.
Without a
And
doubt. I mean, he would pack the high school gyms. He would pack the Lucedale building. Um, he, the Bayou in particular. Um, but he would sell holy water to Jesus. He would pull it off.
what?
Like
Well,
that's
speaking of Jesus, I remember another story we've talked about. And speaking of somebody who never shows up, ain't got no time, but he's on here when you are. So, hey,
Diego.
Diego, your lips are a little brown, Diego. But anyway, so talking about Jesus and all. What about the story about Boogeyman coming in and the church deal and how it was going to get rained outside? I
Okay.
gotta hear this one. I mean, this is a
No,
story.
no, perfectly fine. I will speak on this from my absolute perspective. Again, this is all this happened. All of this happened like on top of each other. It seemed like 'cause this is my first. These stories alone is my first year one. And we haven't even talked about how I ended up as Koloff, which
Yeah,
is what we definitely should jump on that. But I'll tell the story first.
yeah. Tell us
Um,
first, and then we'll get into that.
so at the time, Teddy Long was booking. So much happened that day, Brandon. Teddy Long was becoming the booker for AWF, and we were going to have a show at Theodore High School, and for some reason, I think it was because they just had the floors redone, but because of that, they did not want the wrestling to be inside the gym. So they were going to do it on the football field. And so I remember it was me, I believe Shannon, and maybe a couple. There was not a lot of people setting up at the time. We set the ring up, but we were telling Dwayne all day long that day. It was forecast to storm, going to storm. Like we're going to have a big storm, and in Dwayne's words, be all right, brother, be all right, be all right. So sure enough, around 5 o'clock, it got a storm, like big storm, big storm. And so now we're having to sling the ring back into the trailer while Dwayne leaves. He goes, I have an idea. I've got something. I'm going to go. I'll be right back. So we're slinging the ring, and I'm not going to mention names in this story particular, but I remember there was the one particular wrestler who was a veteran at the time who was very adamant that he was not helping throw the ring back in the trailer because of his time in the business. So here we are, just me and Shannon, and I think one more, just like throwing the ring back in. And Dwayne comes back to us and says, "There's a church next door to the high school that has agreed to let us run the show in that venue."
Chris,
In that church.
MJ, that's my niece, MJ.
Hi there, MJ and Chris, Mr. No Good. Um, so we're very hastily setting the ring up in the church. Like, I think that it might have been you, Singpet. I mean, it's been so long. We're setting the ring up like as the doors opened, and we're gonna have the show because one thing about it, Dwayne booked the Boogeyman to be there, and Boogeyman had already been there a few times before. Interactions with him to this point have been very good, very humble guy. So one of the many issues that day was that Boogeyman was extremely upset because they didn't have his worms. So I just remember before the show being in the locker room with all the guys, and he suddenly just busts in the locker room and he's cutting a whole promo on us. He's cussing us out because he's mad at Dwayne because he didn't have his worms. And I remember vividly him looking at us and goes, "I'm 52 years old. Do you think I wear this shit on my face for fun?" And just cussed us all out, called the locker room backyard wrestlers, like really lost his cool. And eventually he did get his worms, but not without this caveat. Show begins. I wrestled that night. It was a very short match I was in. Go do my thing, come back. Intermission's happening. I'm getting changed. Like, I'm done. That's all I'm doing. Suddenly one of the wrestlers come to the room, and he just walks in and he goes, he didn't say that at Golden Corral. He said it at this show. Or maybe he said it there too, but he definitely said it at this show at the church.
Crystal Morrison.
Hey, Crystal Morrison. This wrestler comes to us and he's like, the pastor says we have 30 minutes to get the ring out of the venue, or he's calling the police. And he'd cut the lights off. So this is why. This is how I understand it. This is what I was told. Apparently, when Dwayne went to the pastor, and when he went to the pastor and told him about the event, he told him it was a small event with family and friends only. He didn't tell him that it was an event of like 300, maybe more people inside this small church. And we packed it. So he was very, very, very unhappy, the pastor was. Now, this is what was told to me. Teddy Long was there that night. Double back. I mentioned earlier that Teddy Long was becoming the booker for AWF. Well, the booker at the time was Too Quick, and no one told Too Quick until he got there that day. So there was a heated discussion over that, and Too Quick left along with like half the locker room. So that had already occurred also. This is all in one day, all the same day. So fast forward again, pastor's mad, threatening, call the cops, kill the lights, whatever. The story goes, from what I was told, Dwayne went up to him and just said, "Let us have our main event." We advertised main event. I think Boogeyman and his character may have been another reason why, because it was like in his mind satanic. But nevertheless, he agrees, and they go out there, and Dwayne is in regular street clothes with his mask, and just trying to get it over with. Boogeyman comes out. He's told no worms. Don't do the worms because the venue. Well, he did the damn worms. He come out, motherfucker this and motherfucker that, flinging the worms and throwing them everywhere. Throwing them everywhere. Intentionally. He was pissed off. They go up there. They have maybe like a 3 to 5 minute match. Boogie does his thing. That's it. It's over with. So I just remember vividly afterwards in the parking lot of the church with Teddy Long, who's got his weed pen. That was the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
I bet it was. Let me ask you this: did anybody go to jail that night?
Not that I know of.
Well, I figured the pastor was really mad if they think Boogeyman something.
No. I think that he had realized what he got himself into with pro wrestling, and
Tried
just
to get out of it.
tried to get out of there. Needless to say, I don't recall ever wrestling in that church again.
I bet you don't. Before we get to how you became Koloff, because I do want to get to that, how the Koloff thing came. New Heights Pro Wrestling debuts and coming up soon, June 14th. Why does New Height Wrestling need more Koloff? Everywhere needs more Koloff. That's,
Everywhere needs more Koloff. New Heights Wrestling is a premier wrestling promotion in Florida, and I've had my eyes on them for the last few years. And quite frankly, as good as they are, they need, if they want to be better, or if they want to stay true to how good they are, they need talent like Vladimir Koloff. And I believe that my resume speaks for itself. Louisiana taking it over, Mississippi taking over, Alabama. I've been in Maryland taking it over right now. I mean, everywhere I go, I bring an experience. So I believe that New Heights Wrestling and the NMK are two hand in hand that will go together very well.
I agree. Retro Maniac, have a question for Vlad. How big of a wrestling fan were you growing up? How much of your fan? Now, if you'd have been listening, Retro, you may have already heard this, but kind of go over a little bit, brief, and then we won't get into how you became Koloff.
So, as a kid, I was very, very like obsessed with wrestling. Like it was literally. I don't ever remember like saying I'm going to be a fireman or a cop or a doctor or any of the things that a kid would say. I don't ever remember saying that I was going to be anything other than a professional wrestler. Like it hooked me. Like the moment it had me in a vice grip. Every Christmas, it was nothing but wrestling stuff. Birthdays, nothing but wrestling stuff. When I had my tonsils removed, I had a wrestling action figure in my hand as they sedated me. Like it, I don't know how I could put it in words to like really show how obsessed with wrestling I've been my entire life. But I spent a lot of my childhood involved with wrestling, and here we are. Here we are. And my guy was always Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was my guy, the greatest of all time, in my opinion. I mean, I do not believe, in my mind, there's anyone like, and I know it's debatable. This is just an opinion. But to me,
there's nobody touching Shawn Michaels.
Wrestler of the year every single year, and it's been 15 years since he's retired. So if that
you know what I was watching this morning when I couldn't sleep?
What's that?
I forgot how damn good of a match it was. Was 2003 Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton at Unforgiven 2003.
Yes,
and that was
Orton's young. Orton's young, and Shawn is in his prime, and Shawn, that was a good year for Shawn. I mean, him and Triple H, every single night practically. Him and Ric Flair, I believe it was Bad Blood, had a really good match. Him and Randy, him and Jericho at Mania. Yeah, Shawn Sean is the GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Sean is the GOAT. I'll give you that because I grew up on Sean.
I
like
mean, look
Sean
at
when he was
my
in the
Iron
Rocky.
Man gear from the Iron
Yes,
Man match.
I know that WrestleMania 12.
I mean, that I watched that match so many times in the preparation for that match. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. I want to get to how you became Koloff. What happened? I mean, like, how did this open up?
So here is the 100% like no character like answer. This is what it is. When I first broke in to the business, I did not have a lot of money. Um, in fact, my first match, I didn't have a mask or nothing like that. I wrestled without a hood, and I wrestled under a whole different character. I borrowed the boots that I wrestled in. I borrowed the tights that I wrestled in. I borrowed, I think, the elbow pads that I wrestled in. Like I borrowed everything just to be able to have that opportunity. I was 2 months into my training. I was told you're ready, and I was not ready, but that's what I was told. And so I had my first match 2 months after training, and I thought I was gonna like. In my mind, I'm like, I want to wrestle. Like, I want to train for like a year before I really break in. But nope, 2 months in, and there you go. You're off to the races. And
Thrown
uh,
to the wolves.
so Dwayne at the time had this gimmick, a Russian character with a hood, and me and him were similar in shape and size. I was very big at the time. I got bigger as my wrestling career, and then I got smaller, but at the time I was pretty big. And he's like, well, if you want to use this gimmick until you can afford gear, like you can have it and run with it until like you come up with your own thing.
Yes, Chase,
And
and he will be at Cajun Heat.
I will be at Cajun Heat, and Brimstone's gonna get beat again. And so I became that character. From there, just to like have something until I come up with something. And as you can tell, I don't have any creativity because I never came up with anything.
Oh, please,
Oh,
you're very creative.
now, Koloff, I wasn't even called Koloff at the beginning. I was called an entirely different name. It was actually Ivan Romanov. When I first started with this gimmick. Yeah, I know. And it was Teddy Long actually who was booking for AWF at the time that just kind of come to me and he says, "We're gonna start calling you Vladimir Koloff." And I had my reservations because I knew of a Vladimir Koloff from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Um, and to this day, I don't think that guy likes me because he thinks that I just come up with this and like tried to, even though I wear a mask and never really try to associate myself with the Koloff dynasty, not because I don't want to be, but because I have not earned that, in my opinion. It was just given to me. But I'm not going to tell Teddy Long, no, not
Right.
not 6 months into the business. I'm not going to tell him no. So I said, yes, sir. And from that moment on, I was Vladimir Koloff.
Wow. So, I mean, that's how Vladimir Koloff was born, and look at how he's evolved now.
I don't know about evolved, but I did it here. I got a different mask on than I did then.
Yeah. Well, and you're in a lot better shape than you was then, too, as well.
Well, thank you. It has been a work in progress.
I'll say this, and I want to bring this up, and we can go to whatever you want to talk to after that. But the first time we met, you know,
I know where you're going with this. 400 pounds.
Yeah. All right. So
Go ahead.
I was doing King of Wrestling podcast at the time. And I kept hearing people tell me, "Oh, Vladimir Koloff, you got to get Vladimir Koloff on your podcast, King of Wrestling podcast." I said, "Okay." And I'm like, "What's the deal with Koloff?" I watched a little bit of his stuff. I'm like, I wasn't impressed. I was just like, "Okay, get you on. We do the podcast." It was a good podcast. We had fun with it.
Very fun. I remember it vividly.
Yes. And then I came to Coden, Alabama to watch a show. I believe you was in a 6-man tag that match. I believe
I
it was
remember
you.
a 6-man tag. All the titles were on the line. Me
Yeah.
and Assassin were tag team champions. The main event versus Brimstone and Kings of Destiny.
Yep. And I remember, I'm dead, I'm laid on the floor. I watched that match. And honestly, we know you can't see much in a 6-man tag. You
Right.
can't figure out much in a 6-man tag. It's just a 6-man tag. But that night, just watching the little bit I saw you in the ring, I'm like, okay, I get it now. Dude's got it. And I'm sitting there
Thank
just
you.
kind of
You
what's
to peel
that?
the curtain back a little bit, which is the whole intention of tonight's podcast. I'm probably going to go on a little tangent here. First, I will say that Brandon Turner has been the biggest vocal proponent for Vladimir Koloff since the day we met. The King of Wrestling podcast is every episode. What about Vladimir Koloff? Even now to a degree with the Brilliant Show. And you have always been the one that has we've talked hours and hours and hours on end, and you would hype me up, especially in the moments where I would not hype myself up. I will say that in 2019 when we first met, that match in particular, around that time, you were definitely one of the minorities that saw that in me. I have heard the common thing that you got to see him in person. You got to see him in person. That's a great thing. It's also a bad thing if you think about it. Only because I want to be on TV one day. So I want that. I will say that I believe that dynamic has changed a little bit. I
Very
believe that
much.
I have managed to bring out what you would see in Vladimir Koloff, the live event, onto any show that I'm a part of, which is
I know you were moving over.
always a work in progress. I'm forever a work in progress. But even back in 2019, I very much had a chip on my shoulder because there was a lot of people that did not see good in me.
Oh, there
Primarily,
was a lot of no goods, that didn't see what everybody else was seeing at the time.
and there was a lot of not outward negativity, but inward negative. And what I mean by that is a lot of I got the good job kid a lot. Um, but if there was any constructive feedback for me to be given, it was not given to me. A lot of the times I would hear uh people's opinion about what they thought about me on the back end. He said, she said, oh, he actually sucks. Oh, he needs to lose weight. He needs to. Why is he a Russian that wears pink? Why his accent is this a lot? And don't get me wrong, not bad feedback. Absolutely, be honest with me and tell me what you think. And you're not, and those constructive criticism or crap talking or whatever was not wrong. I need work in 2025. Um, but there was
Well,
nobody who ever.
I'll say this real quick, just to
Mhm.
catch up, because we've grown close over the years, and that my wife will not hold back. If she
Right.
thought you had a bad match, she'll dissect it and tell you.
She's very honest, much to her credit.
And I know that she's not in the business or nothing. She's grew up around it. She's watched wrestling her whole life, and she just nitpicks stuff. And I know that she's probably going to kick me in the balls for saying all this, but when we first saw you, and I'll say this, when we first met, I remember it was after that show at AWA in Coden, and I'm going around. I'm like, yeah, and you come up to me and you said, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm looking at this kid, and I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? You don't know who I am? I said, no, I don't. I thought you was just a kid running around. He goes, I'm Vladimir Koloff, and I was like, get the hell out of here! You're fucking kidding me, man! Get out of here! And then, I think I bought a shirt from you that night right after you said that, right?
Yes, you did. You did. I remember that vividly.
And that was it, man. I mean, after that, me and you started talking a lot, and Overton, who he says he remembers the 6-man tag good time. I'm gonna tell you something, Overton. And I don't know if Overton knows this, but man, I love Overton. I think Overton's a
I
great
love
guy.
Overton too. Overton stayed at the hospital with me. After I got my brain scrambled at the celebration this past year. He almost knocked that over. He stayed at the emergency room with me while I got staples. Like
Overton's
it was
just
an
a great.
interesting night.
He's a great person, man. He really is. All stuff aside, Overton's he's a great human being. Love being around him. Always gives you good advice, and he's fun to watch in the ring. And them chops, man, them chops, they hurt. I can tell you right now, they hurt.
One of the hardest choppers in the game.
Exactly.
But
Speaking of
yeah,
somebody who loves to get chopped, there's Steve O'Malley.
Steve O'Malley, who is one of my favorites.
Oh yes,
Not just because of the in ring, because he's very good in the ring, but because he's also very vocal.
Oh, a 4-year-old saw plenty of good in you, Vlad.
I don't know if there's any good in me, but he saw it. He saw it. No, I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you. But yes, I mean it was one of those things where like not a lot of people would really come to me, and I've since had conversations with quite a few people that were like, I thought this of you at the beginning, and now I don't because of the work you've put in. And I appreciate that. But it's also why I try to be as honest as I can when people want feedback from me, because I definitely went my first few years, especially, and truthfully, I only feel like in the last few years have I really had like people pull me in and like, hey, work on this. Like, you're good here, but you need work here. And I'm very grateful for that now. I really could have used it back then. And so that's why I try my best to help those that are also trying to work their way up.
Well, Steve, man, he's just a great guy too, and I know he's going to hate me saying that because, well, I mean, I guess me being an evil person too. I guess it works out for that. But Steve's a great guy. I remember me and Steve used to we'd text back and forth after some shows and just kind of talk over stuff, and you just gain a lot of knowledge from Steve, Alexander. We just had a
Yep.
great group of guys. There was
Really and truly we did. That era is some of the fondest memories that I have as far as being a wrestler. Is that era with like DCW when Gene ran it. My plans for Ray Fury is I'm going to ruin his birthday. I'm going to ruin his birthday because I hate him. He's getting a cannonball for his birthday.
Mark Johansson. What's up,
Mark,
John?
Marcho really has been since day one, literally day one.
He really has. And Marcho's a great guy in some aspects other than, busting the brilliant one's balls. He's all right. But
it's easy. But again, but also it's easy to tell somebody. It's easy to go, they suck. Like, hey, you suck, or go behind their back and go, they suck. But it's the why also. Be adamant on the why. Like, be a leader at the end of the day.
Oh, Frankie Thomas says, "What up?" Oh,
What's up, Frankie Thomas? You're in that ladder match with me on Friday. I'm gonna have to give you a nice sized cannonball.
Big Vlad is great from Mark McGee.
Well, thank you, Mark. He's corresponded with me over the course of the last few years. I appreciate the kind word.
But we get in kind of back into when we met and got to knowing each other, and then I got to kind of doing some film, helping film with the TV, especially during the pandemic and stuff. And
the pandemic era, man,
that was I would drive 2.5 hours every month, twice a month, to DCW to film. Back when Gene Miller owned it, and
well, we can talk about that.
Turner will be joining Vlad on Saturday night. Hey, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I am the #1 client of Brandon Turner, and I think it's only natural that we take over this birthday bash.
No, I agree. I think we need to make it Russia's
Kimber, I
birthday.
agree. That's my perspective on it, and I try my best um
And Steve
to
Dixon,
be to give the constructive feedback and try to help, because I don't feel like I'd really got that in my, especially in my earlier days. But with Gene, with Gene, Gene Miller is another person that I have to say. Um, if Dwayne got me in the door, the Mountain Man Richard Bailey pulled me in and got me on other shows, including DCW. But if it wasn't for Gene, I don't think I would have the confidence in myself to feel like I could be more than just um, a second or third match kind of guy on a local indie card. Because he really, I don't even think Gene's a dry person. I don't think he even realizes he did this for me, but he allowed me the opportunity to shine. And I think it could have just been because of the gimmick. It could have just been because, poor and heel, whatnot. But he gave me the opportunity to shine. But not only that, he gave me the opportunity to be creative. Um, Now he was very honest. If he thought something sucked, he'd say it sucked. He was one of those that would mentor me. I will say that. Uh, but he was very dry in that regard. But he was also open to taking ideas, and a lot of what I got to do at DCW were ideas that I threw out to Gene, and he approved. So that's not me saying, oh, all these were my ideas. It was very much a collaborative effort, because he would take my ideas, he would mold them into what made sense for him and his shows, and he let me carry the ball, so to speak, if that's the right phrase. He really let me be a leader in the locker room. He let me, if they even considered me a leader. I'm not that
Oh, you was the leader. There was
that
no doubt
that's
you was the
that's
leader
here
that
or
night.
there, but he really let me be creative. He really let me shine. Um, he allowed me opportunities that I was not getting at the time. Um, and I'm forever grateful for that. Those times at DCW mean a lot to me. Hold on. Brett Ian Landry, go fuck yourself. Um, that's
I
my,
got something to say about him.
but Gene really gave me that platform to be that guy that deep down I feel like I could be, um, but maybe didn't see it in myself either at the time. And the storyline with Charles that we did, those are memories that I will never forget. The good
Well,
DPW era, indeed.
yeah, that you talk about you in the Charles match, the best 2 out of 3 falls. And we're going to kind of go into corny mode here for just 1 second. Do you remember when I first saw that match? Because I wasn't there live, but I did record commentary, kind of like a Joey Styles commentary for that match. And I remember
Right,
I
because
sent,
this was right before you started coming to shows.
yes, and I sent it to you because I thought it was what is it? Murdo is a cannonball magnet. Yeah, Murdo was a
We'll
cannonball
we'll
magnet.
have to talk about Murdo here in just a little bit.
And
He's
Josh
a big
Smith,
part.
I got your question. I want to get to it in just a second, real quick, before we get into anything else. Not this one, but the one that you asked. HE double hockey sticks. What happened for the AW?
We'll touch on it. We'll get
Oh,
there.
we're gonna touch on stuff like that.
Listen, guys, we've got a ride to go on. So
Yeah. How many belts does Vlad have now? That's what Josh Smith's question was that I wanted to get in there.
okay. God, CTE's kicking in. Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Championship. The Gulf State Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. The Assault Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Championship. The gosh, it was here, now it's gone. The GCW Tag Team Championship. That's 4 up the top, and I think there's one more. Sounds terrible. I think there's one more that I'm not. At one point, though, I had about 9 or 10 all at once. And that is
Well,
phenomenal.
you're gonna have another one Friday night.
That's
All-Star
right.
Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
I'm going to become a 2-time Lost Art of Wrestling Heavyweight Champion because my resume speaks for itself.
So here's what else I want to get into. We were there. I was there with you during the DCW days. That's kind of when I was doing the filming. And then this is a personal question I want to ask. Like, I know AWA was fixing to start opening back up,
Mhm.
in 2021. And me and you talked,
Right.
and you asked me what I wanted to do. And I told you what I wanted to do. And you didn't like give me an ultimatum, but you just kind of said, look, we'll give it a run. If it don't work out, it don't work out. But we'll find something for you to do at AWA. And you gave me that little opportunity, and I guess it kind of grew into what it is now. And I'm very appreciative for everything that you've ever done for me. Because for you, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in wrestling right now. I probably wouldn't be doing the Brilliant Show right now. And, with our history, with everything that's going on in front of the fans and, behind the scenes with us, it's been great moments. Kayfabe's gone, Ray. We passed kayfabe right now.
Fuck kayfabe. I'm kidding. But Ray Fury, there is no kayfabe about the fact that I hate Ray Fury with all my heart. With all my heart.
But what made you decide to give me that opportunity at what I asked for that night, or for when the AWA come back?
So, honestly, because I believed at the time that you had done everything the right way. You started with the podcast, and that was just you wanting. I don't even know that you wanted to get in the business. I think you just wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And from there, you really started supporting AWA, DCW, and then we go into the pandemic era, and you are doing commentary. You are helping with the camera. You are refereeing when you need to. Like, you're just doing everything the right way, in my opinion. You never complained. You never bitched. Hey, Brandon, can you do this tonight? Yes. And you would do it. And you would do it to the best of your ability. Me and you had talked personally, and you had said that it would be great if you could manage one day, like you would really want to give it a try. You had already kind of gotten your character off of commentary on DCW a little bit. So when AWA was getting ready to come back around, here's a surprise, everyone. Probably world's worst secret. I was the booker for AWA. And that started in 2018 because we had a show, and they had people booked, but they didn't have a card, and I just asked if I could throw it together just to see if, what I could come up with, and I was told yes, and had it from there. But you had kind of just told me that's what you wanted to do, and I'd always said that one day we'd make it happen somehow, and that day come. So it was just like, let's see what's the worst that can happen. You stuck, and we pull you out, and you try something else. You didn't suck. You kept going. So as I'm appreciative of the kind words, but it was also the factor was how hard you worked. Like, you put the work in at the end of the day. You got yourself over with the crowd at the end of the day. Like, all that's you.
Well, I appreciate that. Joey Busa, we don't allow that name on here. Murdo, we do. But Murdo is the Cannonball Trophy winner.
He is.
We love Murdo.
His face is attracted to my ass.
Steve O'Malley. He didn't know nothing about booking. Oh, my God.
What?
O'Malley.
Oh, my God. Where? Say it ain't so. Next, you're going to tell me that I'm not Russian. Anyway.
Man, you make extremely impressive promos.
Thank you so much, Byron. I truly appreciate the kind words.
Well, I mean, that's always been phenomenal. But you know that let's talk about that era of DCW real quick, just a little bit, because and I don't know how far you want to talk about it or who you want to talk about. I want to go back.
I want
to
to talk about it all. Let's talk about it all. You
Let's
throw
go
it
to-
at me, and we'll talk about it.
Now, there's one person I can't mention by name because I don't want to make him cry. Oh, I'm sorry. He took drama classes. Those were fake tears. But MTT, I mean, oh, dang, there it goes. The main event back then with you was pretty dominant in DCW at that time.
Well, it was.
The tag champions, the TV champion, the heavyweight champion, everything. That era of DCW was really good. And I also thought, and, you know, I may talk about shit about people a lot, but I will say this. The match that you and MT2 had, which was, I think was the no DQ match, no holds barred, whatever. I thought that was a hell of a match that night.
Me too.
I thought y'all had a lot of damn good matches. What happened with the main event? Like, how did it form, and then how did it explode?
I love this question because I know people probably they have an expectation of what I'm gonna say, but I think we're a little off with that.
He can't use yeet no more, so he can only say, "I ain't no way."
There ain't no
Ray.
way. There ain't no way that I'm ever gonna lay there ever again for that froggy elbow, you piece of shit. The main event was genuinely one of my favorite times in wrestling. Because it was literally, I'll talk about how it was put together, but it was literally just three oddballs, two that kind of mixed and one that really didn't, put together and just given the opportunity to make it work. And I believe we made it work. I feel very strongly of that. So how it come together was Gene at the time was very, very high on me. And I remember there was another guy who was champion at the time. And thank you so much, Byron. Thank you. I was reading the comment. The champion there at the time wanted to form a stable and have me in it. And
Why are you stirring that pot, Amy?
And it was made clear that Vladimir Koloff was on an island on his own creatively. And what that meant was like he wanted me to have like he was booking everything, but he didn't want me to be in a group. He didn't want me over here. He wanted me in that particular position that I was in at the time. Fast forward, I win the heavyweight title, which was like to this day a surreal thing to me. Even in the land of indie wrestling, like that was something I wanted to do. I had a goal set in mind. I just wanted to prove that I could be a top guy for a promotion, even if it was just an indie promotion in Mississippi. I wanted that opportunity, to see if I could do these things. And so at the time, things were kind of just being thrown together. And the Assassin and MT2 were just going to be thrown together as a tag team for no reason. And I remember discussing with Gene, and no, I'm not saying that I come up with this. It was a collaborative effort at the end of the day. But I remember talking to Gene and just like, what is the why? Didn't really have a why. So it was like, well, Eddie G was a manager for me and Assassin and MT2 at the time. So it's like, that's the why. Just bring us all together as one group. And he agreed to it. So we started doing more the typical thing of pro wrestling where the heel has guys come in and help him win and whatnot. And so from there, we started that group and we collaboratively come up with the name of the main event. I put together the logo because I do graphic design and I do video editing and shocker, I do that stuff too at times. Matter of fact, a lot of your local indies around here, I've probably done a flyer for them at least once. Not everyone, but nonetheless. Um, and we just started it from there. And genuinely, this I don't know. It, this is, but it isn't the best way to go about things. Sometimes it's the worst way to go about it. But a lot of our videos and content that we'd post on social and stuff like that was just us doing it for fun. Like me being vocal with MT2, oh, you're so stupid, blah blah blah, and him just nonchalantly eating the Doritos. Like that was just us just doing it for fun. And it genuinely bled into the shows, and I believe that it was.
He does everything. Jeff, he does everything.
Did we make $1 million? Did we make $1 million? No. Did we entertain the crowds and have genuine crowds, like good houses and stuff like that? Was Gene happy with everything we're doing? As far as I know, yes. Did we create memories? I believe so. We had a lot of fun with that. We took it everywhere that we could. And genuinely speaking, it was some of the best times of my life as far as wrestling is concerned. Just grabbing MT2 and hitting the shows, and Assassin would meet up with us later, and we would do our thing, and a lot of laughs were had, a lot of fun was had. I think that it's easy to jump into the negative stuff of what happened towards the end of it at the time, and I could go on about that all day long, and I have my opinions, but I do think that I genuinely enjoyed those times. I'm very grateful for that era. I'm very grateful for those involved with what I was doing then, and couldn't have asked for more at the time. Things evolve, things evolve, and things change. It wasn't going to be forever. Things happened as they did, but that doesn't change that those times were good.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed those times, and I was driving 2.5 hours every weekend for those times and stuff like that. And I enjoyed the main event, Mac Daddy Duds.
There was a lot of people that didn't like. They had an opinion. They thought that it was the shits, and maybe in hindsight there were things about it that were the shits. But what I can tell you, in my opinion, is that I had fun. The fans we were entertaining had fun. The management was happy. And literally all three of us just did what we were asked, as far as on the shows and everything. So couldn't have asked for more. There any wrestlers that you could just wail on because you hate them? Ray Fury. Ray Fury is an awful human being.
Let's bring up Ray, since he wants to insert himself in everything. He's got to get his face out there. We're going to take care of him one day. But no, I like Ray in some ways. But anyway,
that makes one of us, because I hate him.
Yeah. All right. So I hate Ray too. Then. But anyway, do you remember the first time that you and Ray Fury had a match? And
I do.
Who was instrumental in that match?
I do. So it was for Combat Wrestling League, and you booked that show. You booked Ray Fury because you wanted to see me wrestle Ray Fury, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because he's been on my ass ever since. He's been the number one reason for my blood pressure ever since. So I don't know what that says. I don't know if you want credit for that or not. You're making my face red right now. Yeah. Just thinking about it.
Dude, you are really red. But
we had a good match. The crowd was not very big, but that wasn't your fault. You just put together the best card that you could at the time, and the guy who actually run the show was supposed to do his thing, and he didn't. So that was ultimately what that come out of.
I know Joey Boozer was there. I know Sammy Wright, if you're listening, I know half your family was there until your match, so I should have put you on the main event.
Well, that's every Law show. That's every Law.
Oh man, but
I kid. I love wrestling. For Lost Art of Wrestling.
Yes, man, Lost Art of Wrestling. One of the top promotions.
Genuinely one of my favorite places to wrestle is for Lost Art of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Especially at the time because I felt like it was a melting pot of wrestlers from all over the area. It was one of the first opportunities in a bigger locker room that I really had the chance to be a part of and thrive, and forever grateful because of that.
I was there, I believe, way up in the country. Yes, it was at the fairgrounds in Waynesboro, Mississippi, and yes, it looked like what's a meth house on the side of the roads. What it looked like.
I remember them putting up the black plastic all around the walls to cover up
That was the Bisqueen. The Bisqueen, yes.
Bisqueen, yes, the Bisqueen, and it was an experience. But you get that in pro wrestling. I mean,
all right. Bringing that up, why don't we say what's the weirdest place you've ever wrestled, and the craziest match you've ever had like that?
God, man. As far as match, I could throw a bunch of different things out there. Venue wise, I mean, I've wrestled in bars, I've wrestled in churches, I've wrestled in parking lots of vape shops and restaurants, and I've wrestled in big, huge, expensive buildings in front of 10 people. I've wrestled in little bars in a packed house. Opponents, I mean, I've literally had guys book me against the referee that night, just throw a mask on and beat him up. I'll tell you one match that was odd, very odd, but it was fun. Like, it was a really good match. It was a Revolt Pro Wrestling. It was a 5 versus 5 Survivor Series dodgeball rules match.
Oh my God, I remember this. I wasn't good, but I remember it, yes.
And it was, so if you've ever watched the movie Dodgeball, and I use the movie Dodgeball because I don't know if this is the actual rules in Dodgeball because I don't play.
Dodgeball, the movie was
when you would eliminate somebody, if you had a partner or teammate eliminated, they could come back into the game. And that is what.
Wrestle in Jello. Miss Savage wants to see you wrestle.
Well, for the right price, the right price.
Now, Miss Savage, are you talking about Koloff or me?
She said Koloff, so.
Oh, she did. She may have accidentally typed that in. I don't know.
But I will say that it on paper sounds like an absolute cluster because somebody would get eliminated and just come back and but it was paced so well that it worked and it was really fun. I thought it was gonna be the stupidest thing ever, but it really wasn't. It was. But I also don't know that you could just do that with anybody. I feel like the people that were in that match in particular, it worked with them.
Yeah. Retro says, what's the nicest venue you ever worked?
The nicest venue I've ever worked in, man. I would have to say 2 answers come to mind. The first one is there is the Frank Gruage Center in Biloxi, Mississippi. That is a.
Oh, look at this. A blast from the past. It was just on the podcast.
See that, Rob? From Southern Russia. So when I competed in the Great Southern 8, I politicked actively to be from Southern Russia. But they didn't bite. Me and Rob Cabela have never had a one-on-one match. I'm gonna throw that out there.
That is wild, isn't it?
It's really wild.
As many shows have y'all been on? Never had.
It's really wild. It's really wild. The Frank Gruage building was very nice, very nice. The other venue was we did a cross show between. I'm gonna sound like a mark, whatever. Between GSW and 225 back in 2023, it was called Friday Night Fights or something like that, and it was at a convention center, and they had a big LED wall, and it was the first time I felt like a superstar, if you will, because I'm walking out, my entrance video that I made is playing on this big LED screen, and it's a packed venue. It was a weird show, but for many reasons, but just something
Oh
about
yeah,
seeing
I
that which
remember.
was very cool.
Man, that had to be awesome. But we're gonna get to some other stuff as well. Chris Chambers wants to know what's your plans for Bobby Fish.
My plans for Bobby Fish are the same plans that I have for anyone that steps into the ring with me. I will beat him because I will prove to him that I'm the better wrestler. Needs more cola.
So you're gonna eat him like Chambers would eat about 20 cheeseburgers.
Precise 21.
21. Okay. All right. So we did the DCW thing. We got into the AWA. We kind of talked about our relationship a little bit. I'm gonna skip a little bit forward here with me and you as far as that goes, because we got how much time you got? All
I
the
got
time, Lord?
as much time as you want. We're here.
We'll
It's
go.
here. It's
All
now.
right.
It's anyway.
It's forever. But
Forever.
Gene, we'll go with this first. Gene approached me first. Hey, Jarrett McKenzie, one of the great independent wrestling fans.
100%. Jared is just a good guy. Just an all around good guy.
Channeling his inner Mike Tyson. All right. So Gene approached me before the eventual people that bought DCW.
Right.
He approached me about buying DCW at the time. And I just couldn't do it at the time.
I remember this. I do remember this.
And it ended up, going to one of them who owns it now. And
Right. And we can touch on that later too if you want to.
yeah. And we moved forward to when I actually did buy a company, which was AWA. When you heard that I bought the company, or I told you I bought the company, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts were, so I had been booking since 2018 at the time. At AWA, and I think it was in 23 you bought. So at the time, 2 years since AWA come back, I had been booking.
Yeah.
I was very excited because me and you talk daily, and we would always have ideas, and you were already kind of helping in bits and pieces and ways, financially and just creatively and everything. So I felt like it was going to be a great fit. I felt very good about it because you had some ideas about how we could make the company fresh. I felt like I was going to have a broader opportunity to make some of these stories that we want to make happen. And yeah, I was very excited, and I feel like we achieved just that.
I think we did. I mean, because we came up. I'm not gonna say I came up, but we did talk about solid steel warfare that happened in 2022.
Well, that come about because like me and you, you were just a talent at the time, and I was booking, but we would talk all the time. And I threw this out to you. What would you think if we could pull this off? And obviously, we were playing with other people's money at the time. And you were like, man, if we could make, I'll throw some money into that just to do it. Like, I'll cover. I believe you paid for the cage rental.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
I did.
You're like, if we can do that, I'll make it happen. And I spoke with Cotton through the idea. This was probably, we did this in the summer. This was 6-month plan.
Oh no, it was more than that.
It was
Up with it 8 months because we started talking about it in December.
Yeah,
It happened in July.
The thing with storylines like that, where we planned a lot of that way in advance. We now a lot changed.
It sure did.
A lot changed.
Some of that too.
What ended up happening was not the original on paper plan. But
it changed within weeks too, man. It changed.
Yes. But it definitely changed. But we got there, and it was, man. You might. I think we all have a bad habit of like glorifying things, but I'm gonna glorify this. It was magic to me.
Oh yeah, it was to me too. One of the greatest moments of
I kicked your ass that night.
dude, when you was whooping my ass with that belt and the fans just kept saying one more time. I didn't think they was gonna shut up.
Mm-mm.
They just kept saying one more
But
time.
I think we did very good though
Yeah.
with how we made them want to see you get your ass kicked.
Oh
Because
yes. Oh yeah.
I remember being very specific in the buildup of like, we're not just gonna beat up on Brandon every single show, because then we're taking away the payoff. The payoff is Brandon getting his ass kicked. The payoff is Brandon in the cage against all of his enemies that he's been ruining their lives for 6 months now. That's the payoff. So we don't want to blow our wad by having somebody beat up Brandon 2 weeks before the cage match or a month before any of that. So it was like, put the heat on him. Put the heat
And,
on him.
well, you know what was funny was that you talk about the build up to that. What was so funny was when my music hit for me to come to the ring that night.
Mhm.
When I walked through the curtain, people actually stood up and started clapping. Like I was sitting there and they was like, "Get your ass in the ring, get your ass in the ring." I'm like, "Gosh, damn, are y'all really this damn bloodthirsty for me?" And
They wanted to see it. And I want to throw this out there real quick because it means a lot to me personally. Um Joey Goats,
oh yes, God, Joey,
who I miss very much, and I miss
same
very much.
here.
Um, Towards the end of the buildup, so much happened in the buildup that was not so much changed, so much changed. Joey passively threw this idea out to me, and he's like, "If you hate it, just let me know. Like it's probably dumb, but what if we do this?" And the story, and the idea is like teasing that he would be in the cage match, and I mean, he come up with that idea, the note at the end that would bring out Pep, like everything. Um, and he presented that to me as like something that's dumb, but I want to throw it out there. And I'm like, no, Joey, I think this is great actually. And I think also it meant a lot to Joey that we did that. And so that moment sticks out to me just as much as anything else in that cage match that night. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to just show my love and appreciation for Joey. And not just him, but there's quite a few others that we'll have to talk about, especially those who are no longer with us.
Yeah, Joey, and I'm just gonna say this: me and Joey always had he always bounced ideas off of me. Do you remember the night that I debuted in DCW? He tried to rib me, and I no
Yep.
sold it
Yep.
by playing the Macarena as my
Yep.
entrance music. And I no sold it because I didn't give a shit. I was like, I didn't care. I had damn music. Him and Bryson were over there laughing, thought I was going to come out like, what was this? I didn't care. I was just happy I had damn ring music at that time. So
Exactly.
Joey was always great, and that night when he came out, that even gave me more heat. Was when I was jumping on him in the Solid Steel Warfare, which you can go watch on the Brilliant Show's YouTube page. I will add it on there so that you can watch it. I'll put it up after the show tonight if you want to watch that match.
And in that venue, I had so many big moments. I mean, I had the 2 out of 3 falls match with Charles, which, I mean, that was a true test for me at the time. And me and Charles were like, especially in that era, like we just meshed so well in terms of in-ring work and telling the story.
See how Joey helped people like Jared. I remember when
I
he got
remember
the
that.
for his dad, and Joey was always was a unique person. He was not your like I don't know how to say he was not like you're just
He was very dry.
yeah, he was very dry, but it was a good kind of dry. And but he was also just a great person in general, and
So
we
missed. So
yeah,
missed him so
very
much.
much so, very much so missed. Uh, a tribute show, and especially the end of Brimstone and Paps was great. Yes, the
Yes.
way that they got out of the ring, let Joey have the spotlight for the night in the battle royal. They put his picture, they put everything in the ring. Couldn't end it any better.
100%. I agree.
Couldn't end it any better. But yeah, Joey touching on some emotions there with Joey and the Solid Steel Warfare that night. And when he came out, the place was erupting when he came out, and then he announced that he wasn't going to be in the match, but he found him a replacement. And then here comes one of our boys, one of our
Respect
favorites.
to who's by far one of my favorite quote unquote kids, even though he's older than me.
Well, he's not older than me, but
But he is older than me just a little bit. But Paps is a phenomenal talent, and he
yes.
he was he wasn't even supposed to be gone in the build up to it, but we made it work. And like I said, man, so much happened in that build up. It was the time to be alive, most certainly.
Even though, I'm not trying to crap on anything here, but we know that the build up to that show was great. It was superb. But some of the shows at the crowds were not there, but they were there for Solid Steel Warfare.
They were there. They were there that night. They were there that night. We definitely had our everything wasn't roses, but that night
We
they
got
wanted
there.
to
We
see
got
that.
there.
We got there, most certainly.
So, what can we touch on next? I mean, what's something you want to touch on? Because I've skipped around, I've jumped around on everything here.
Well,
You
I do want to take a moment and just express we're talking about Joey, so I kind of want to jump back and talk about the Mountain Man, Richard Bailey, a little bit.
Mount Man.
Um, if it wasn't for Mountain Man, I would have probably just wrestled at one place. Um, and he's the one, like, he would just call me and say, hey kid, got you booked. Let's go over here. Come on, be there. Like, all right, sounds good. I'll be there. And
Hold
if
on, hold on, hold on. Sam Forehand, just before you get that, you two are responsible for my then 5-year-old son falling in love with professional wrestling. We have had some of the best times watching you guys. Can never thank you enough for the memories and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Sam, I always enjoyed seeing you and just the way you would clap. When I won the golden ticket that night, you were standing up there just clapping, and I was just like, I at least got one fan in the house. But
Sam, you and your boy have been a dream. I truly appreciate that so much, so much.
and
Um,
Donnell, great champ.
Donnell's another one who has really put his faith in me, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunities presented my way.
And Lucy, we're going to get to the box story in just a second because I know.
The box.
But hold on. Before we get to the box story, let's just say this: Mountain Man was. I'm gonna give my perspective. I didn't get to know him as well as you did, but I do remember the day that he passed because me and you
Me
talked.
too.
You was on your way back from Houston, I believe.
Yep.
And me and you had talked, and it was just it was a sad time. And
Yep.
but Mountain Man's helped a lot of people, and he was just fun to be around. But the one thing that Mountain Man used to tell me every time when I come, hey man, you got your phone on you? I said, yeah. Pull up Mountain Man Bailey, WCW Saturday night against Sid Vicious.
Yep.
And watch him and Sid, and he would move around like a cruiserweight against Sid. That was great. And Lucy, we'll get to the boxing minute, but finish your story. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. He was very instrumental in just getting me out, and he's the reason I started working for Gene at DCW. And he would call and check up on me and really like I wasn't a trainee of his, but he treated me like such. And it meant a lot to me that he would, because I watched him before I started wrestling. So and I actually have a few of his like a small urn of his ashes that was given to me after his passing. And the flip flop, yes, Jason, the flip flop. Some of my favorite times were wrestling the Mountain Man. And I can't express how forever grateful I will be to him for what he did for me, because you know, without him, I probably wouldn't be wrestling all these places. Um, yeah, so very very grateful to him for everything he did for me, and I try to do my best to make him proud.
All right, Lucy Blade wanted to know about the box story. Now, I just told this story on the Brilliant Show, not a few
All
episodes
right,
ago.
well you gotta go with it. So I'm gonna tell.
No, I can't. I can't go with. I cannot tell it the way you
No,
can.
I'm gonna tell it. You just gotta go with it. Is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I'll go with it. I'll go
So
with it.
Brandon, it was me, the Mountain Man, and Lucy Blade one night after a show. We're heading back down I-10, and there's this homeless guy. There's this homeless guy on the side of the road, and big old Mountain Man decides to go pick him up.
Why?
Well, I don't know. So pick him up, gets in the car, and we start rolling. The guy has a box. And I ask him, I say, what's in the box? And he says, none of your goddamn business. So then Lucy's like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, what's in the box for real though? It's none of your goddamn business. So Mountain Man looks at him, pretty pissed off. He goes, well, hold on now. My friends over here have asked you what's in the box, and picking you up and take a free ride, like you can tell us what's in the box. So he looks at Richard, says, none of your goddamn business. The Mountain Man pulls over, snatches him out of the car, throws him in the ditch, takes the box, and we leave. I guess you want to ask me what was in the box, right?
What was in the box? But
None of your goddamn business.
oh, what? What?
It's a story. It's a story that the Mountain Man would tell people from time to time.
Well, it was funny and I'll remember this because we did Lost Art. I think it was Lost Art's second show. I was there, as a sponsor at the time, and it was in McGee. And I went home. I live an hour and a half from McGee, Mississippi, which is where Lost Art was. And I came back, and I remember I was riding with you and another person the next day to Fort Walton to Full Impact Pro, I believe.
Back when I was a broke boy, broken body was banged up.
So I drove, 2.5 hours to meet you, and then what did we do? Drive another hour and a half to 2 hours to Fort Walton,
something like that, if not further.
And I remember on the way back that night, and we went by I think it was we was skipping the toll booths or whatever, and that's when you brought up the box story, and I remember that very well. And then I got home about 7 a.m. and slept all day the next day. But great stories. That was always fun, and that was back when Lost Art, like I said, had your second or third show, and Lost Art has always been one of those promotions that has really just stuck out, and I've enjoyed, especially with Paul, and Sammy and everybody else there. But let's go ahead and throw that up there. That is this Friday night. It is in Florence, Mississippi at Florence High School. It's action-packed. You're going to want to be there. You're not going to want to miss it. Check it out because you're going to have a 4-way tag team match. You got the Hosey Bros. You got Muddy Waters. You got the Riots. You got Amped Up, all vying for a shot at the Tag Team Championships. The winner of that 4-way goes on to take on Leo Riot and Eric Black, the Lost Cause. Also that night, for the Lost Art, a Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, is going to be Simon Phillips, Ray Fury, Wes Warren, my client, the great Vladimir Koloff, and Frankie Thomas, all vying in a ladder match at Blast of the Future 3. And speaking of that, let's break off from that. You got Simon Phillips, you got Ray Fury, you've got Wes Warren, and then Frankie Thomas. That is 5 of the greatest talents in this area that you can ask for. Simon Phillips, and my thoughts on you, and I've always had these thoughts on Simon. If I believe in you, I'm going to blow you up. Simon Phillips has got the look. He's got the athleticism. He's got it all. He's got that it factor that you, Ray, Suge White, baby, I know Suge's listening, all have. What's your thoughts on Simon Phillips? Because Simon Phillips is, like you said, he deserves to be on TV.
So I'll say this: the first Blast to the Future letter match also had me and Simon in it. Back in 2020.
Yep.
And he was the Golden Boy, Simon Phillipson,
Mhm.
and that was my first interaction with him. And I felt like back then he had something. I will say mistakenly to me, I was like, well, I think he should be more of a babyface than heel. And I'm wrong in that regard because he's a damn good heel. He's evolved greatly. From Disobey onto the Defiant One. Simon, I think the best way to put him is that he's going to be on TV one day. He's going to be on TV, probably sooner rather than later. Phenomenal talent. His body has drastically changed in the best way. His work is solid. I mean, you can believe what he's doing. Simon is going to be on your television one day. So if you are an independent wrestling promoter and you're watching this right now, book him now while you can. I put a post out recently. Him, Jay Smiles, Doug White, I'll say Raza Rayleigh. Those are just a few that I believe you're going to see on television sooner rather than later. They're doing that thing, and I like to see it. I like to see it.
Well, now here's the thing: like Simon Phillips, all the goods in the world. Jay Smiles, all the goods in the world. Suge White, all the goods in the world. Raza Raleigh, all the goods in the world. The only thing is there's a difference between those 4. Suge White, if he sees a TV executive, he's going to be on TV first. Because I would not want to cross him in a dark alley. He's just going to put a knife to him and, bro, put me on TV, boy. And there we go. He's on TV. But, yeah, those are great talents that deserve to be on TV. Chris Chambers has a question for you. Looks like Miss Blade here has a little soft spot for Simon, like, somebody's brother has for her. But anyway.
Oh, well, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
We're going to get to that. Don't worry. We're going to get to that. But Vlad, who's your toughest opponent? It was JD Jenkins, in my opinion.
Toughest opponent, I'd have to say Jesus Christ, JD Jenkins. As
JD's,
far as tough and grit, I mean, we just beat the shit out of each other, Brandon. Like, we just would beat the shit out of each other. Like, my matches with JD are among, especially the last man standing match, are among some of my favorite.
Hold on. Who was the ref for that match?
I believe, wasn't it Brandon Turner?
That's right.
That's right. Yes, that match in particular is up there as one of my favorites.
God, if you look at mine and your relationship throughout the years, I'm always right there somewhere. And
you have been. You've been a big proponent for me. I mean, you're the reason. You're the reason that some of the things that has happened to me has happened. Especially some of the matches that I've had happen. Which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, with our relationship and our history, like it was just kind of inevitable that we ended up. You ended up as my client. So.
Right. 100%. Now we're taking over everywhere.
So many 5-tool talents in our area. We're enjoying a prosperous area in the Gulf Coast of
But
Independence.
there's no one more 5-tool or better than Vladimir Koloff.
I'll agree with that, but I'm gonna just say this, and I'll say it. There's so many talents in this area that gets overlooked that could be on TV, that should be on TV. That a lot of them deserve a spot more than some of these people that are on TV. And I've always said that about you.
Yeah.
Simon's one of those guys. Wes Warren is one of those guys. Suge White's one of those guys. Jace Miles is one of those guys. Ray Fury's one of those guys. And Vladimir Koloff is the top guy. You know, and I'm not trying to leave anybody out. So don't take it the wrong way. There's a lot of guys that are on these shows. There's more guys on shows that need to be on TV than there's not. You know, we don't see as many that don't deserve to be on TV. You know, so Vlad is a 6-tool. No, Vlad is a 10-tool, son. Get it right.
Vlad is just trying to do best.
Look, I got a bone to pick with Donnell here. We have seen Vlad defend on the East Coast, Washington, D.C. area against some tough talent. Well, let me tell you something, Donnell. You know, you want to hear something for real? All right, I'm finna give you something. You know, back when you started, you was high on the brilliant one. You was high on the brilliant one. Doing the commentary, doing this, doing that. Donnell, I ain't heard another word from you. My client's sitting over here, and you got him being managed by somebody that's in a nursing home. Look at that. Look at that. Flexing it like Lex.
Jared, that match you were talking about, that 8-second match in Fort Walton against Ox Haney, that was my first time at combat. And I was surprised, and I got a better reaction than I thought I was going to get. And now here I am wrestling at combat this Saturday night.
Vladimir's a tool. See,
Wes Warren.
Hey, hold on. You say Wes Warren's name, and he pops
Wes
up.
Warren eats peanut butter jelly the long way.
He eats several things the long way. But anyway, so let's get back on track. What you want to talk about next? Since we're having a good time, and Wes Warren finally popped in.
Well, we've entered the part where we talked. We touched on when you first took control of AWA. We can just keep going from that point.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. There's two things I want to talk about. Remember, you come up with the celebration name, the idea of the 2-night deal. And
I knew this was coming, and he's gonna make.
hold on. What was the first thing that came out of our minds? All right. So I came up with. Man, what about a match for Nightmare Jeremiah? Who would it be against?
Cruel. We talked about Cruel. But I do want to touch on, so the celebration. I come up with the name, asked you what you thought. You're like, love it. Talked about just wanting to do a 2-night event to kind of serve the fans, and we were on a hot streak at the time with AWA, and then you're the one that hits me out of the blue with, what do you think about Richard Holiday? I'm like, well, I think if you think it's good, I do. Richard Holiday is a phenomenal talent. He should be on TV, and he's actually somebody I would like to wrestle on the indies before he does end up on TV. And then out of the blue, I don't know, maybe you were drinking your IPAs one night and just got a wild hair up your ass. Because you were like, what if we book Hammerstone? And usually when you would ask me about names, top talent like that, I would just say, if you think it's a good idea, then I'm with it. And then from there, we ended up having both Richard Holiday and Hammerstone on both nights. Well, Hammerstone on both nights, Richard on night 1 of the celebration.
Oh, you got to read that one. Stephen Dixon.
What are your opinions on the former AWA jabronis that didn't know how to run shows? Oh, brother. We'll touch on that. Don't worry. We'll touch. Let's talk about the celebration first. We're not even at that part yet. So from there,
Toes here now.
do you want to tell them how that particular match I was in went about? I feel like you should tell that part.
Which one? You talking about the Hammerstone?
Yes.
So I reached out, but first I want to say this, and we had this saying a while. Fuck Cruel, that piece of shit. I'm just gonna say this before we get to Hammerstone. I'm gonna say this. Fuck Cruel, that piece of shit. All right, I booked this son of a bitch in April. All right.
Oh man, I love it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Floor's yours.
Any company that thinks Cruel or Mads Kruger or anything he's a piece of trash who does not hold his bookings. I've seen him cancel several bookings. If it don't fit his needs, he's just a piece of shit who doesn't deserve anything. And I'm sorry for going on a rant here, but that's what I'm going to do. He is a piece of trash that has no business being in any wrestling ring or anywhere because he's an unprofessional piece of trash. I booked him in April. And I talked to him throughout the summer, back and forth. He even sent us a video to play for our deal that we set up. 2 weeks from the celebration, there is a match graphic posted that says Adam Priest versus Cruel in Georgia. Now, I've already paid $300 for a plane ticket. I'll go ahead and say it. I paid $300 for a plane ticket for him. Bought it the day he agreed to be booked by me. And I said, hey, you're good. You sure? Oh, yeah, I'm free. No problems that night. I see a match graphic. Actually, I'm sent a match graphic.
From me.
Yeah, from you. With Adam Priest versus Cruel. So I text him, hey, man, what's up with this? Thought you was booked. That's the night of my show. Oh, man, I got obligations. I'm sorry. I was going to hit you up. Oh, you was going to hit me up when? The day of? You piece of trash. I hope you don't ever get booked again. That's my problem. I don't hate nobody, but I dislike that son of a bitch the most. Just because he was so fucking unprofessional. And just absolute garbage. He's not worth being on your show if you're a promoter. Don't even waste your time with him. But anyway.
What a time. So we did end up with Richard Holiday and Hammerstone.
And I'll say this. I booked Hammerstone. I hit him up and said, hey, can we get you? I'm free both nights. We talked deal. Very good deal, I might say. And I hit him up and I asked you, I said, who do you want him to face? And you said, how about we do him and Paps? I said, well, the only way he gets Paps is if he gets you. And you was like, no, man, no, I don't want you. I said, it's either you and him or he ain't coming. Wasn't it something to that effect?
Something to that effect. I was very apprehensive about putting him against me just because of I was the booker at the time and I didn't want to be that guy. But you were. I do remember because I did the social media for AWA also. Even the day when we dropped the match graphic for Hammerstone Koloff, I had the reservations and thought about like changing the match, and you were very adamant. No, you're not changing the match. And in hindsight, very glad we didn't because that was one of the few opportunities that made me really feel like that, like I belong in the ring.
Oh, thank you, Steve. But I'm gonna just say this, and also that night, because we'll just peel the curtain back a little bit more. You know how bad I wanted that match for you,
right?
I wanted you to have that match, even though you had told me this is not what I want, blah blah blah. I mean, not that you didn't want it, but you didn't know if you deserved it, and I thought you did. But then we get to that day. Or the day before, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yes. This is a crucial detail. Oh, my God. And before you even go into it, I want to say, like, a credit to Hammerstone, who should definitely be on TV, a credit to his professionalism. Now, go ahead.
All right, so second, Alexander Hammerstone, I'm not going to say that, we're buddies, but I love him. I mean, I think he's great talent. Uh, he's done some good things. But anyway, he hits me up on Thursday. Our show is Friday and Saturday. He hits me up on Thursday at 10 a.m., which at his time was probably 8 a.m. Hey, man, they changed our flight. I said, get the hell out of here. Are you serious? He's like, yeah, go look. So I went and looked on my app. They changed his flight. His flight went from him being at, Mobile that day at 2 o'clock to him landing at 7 o'clock that night? And
Yes.
like the show starts at 7. Now, granted, he was in the main event, but I was like, God, what am I going to do? Now, we picked Holiday up from the airport. Great guy. We got to tell a story about that too. But we picked Holiday up, and I'm like, what are we going to do? And my buddy Chris, I call him Karaoke Chris. He was on the radio for a long time. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. What time's this flight land? I can't remember. It was 7:40, wasn't it? It was 7:40.
Yes, it was like 6:40. It was like 6:40. It was right when the show was about to begin.
Yeah, and Chris is like, I have him there 10 minutes after, and I think he had him there at 5. He was hauling ass with Hammerstone to get him to that building, and Hammerstone was a delight. He was a.
It was very much about we'll make it all work. We'll make it all work. He got there probably right before intermission. Me and him, just to peel the curtain back. I mean, we spoke a little bit, but a lot of we talked about some things, but we didn't plan a whole match from the beginning to end by any means. I certainly was amazed with how giving and how not professional, because I expected the professionalism, but just how giving and how good he was with it. And then we went out there and really had a great match, in my opinion. I felt really good about it. He seemed to feel really good about it. He told me the biggest critique he had of me was that he just didn't know who I was before I got there, or he got there. So
yeah, he said you needed more eyes on you. Yeah,
so felt really good. It boosted my confidence for quite a while.
I mean, he was just absolutely great. Here's the thing. I want to, go back to Holiday for a second, because me and you dealt with Holiday several times. Great guy.
Very great guy.
Enjoyed, and trying to get him. He'll be on the podcast very soon. Don't know when, but he's going to be on. But he's a great guy. And I always enjoyed working with him and doing business with him. But that first time, he flew in. Me, you, and Chris went to pick him up at the airport. I get to the airport. He gets in. I'm like, get in the front seat, chill out. Me and you are in the back. And we put his bags in the back. He's there, and he's going down the road, and he's asking questions, and you answered a question, and he
freaked out. I didn't know he was back there. Yep.
Yeah, he's like, where the fuck did you come from? It was funny.
I'm a quiet guy, believe it or not.
But Holiday was always a pleasure to do business with, and anytime we had him come in, it was never about him. Neither with Hammerstone. Hammerstone was about what was going to help the show.
Right.
And he did everything he could do to help the show. And just what was your experience that weekend with them, and then the weekends that we've had? Because we had a lot of good weekends with a lot of good talent that we booked. Madman Fulton. Let's bring up Joe Kane. Let's bring up Mustang Mike. All these guys that had come in were just.
I will say that there wasn't very many people that I didn't have a good experience with. I felt like majority of people we dealt with, even those that might have heard that you might have a hard time with, didn't have a hard time with them. We were very fortunate. And Madman was a lot of fun. And just a lot of the matches that we had on the shows were quality matches. I felt really good about that time. That was a good era.
All right. So I know we jumped around. We hadn't kept on course here. Something just popped in my head. I forgot. Man, do you remember the first time I ever managed you?
I do, because it was at Widowfest for Battle Zone, and it was when Vladimir Koloff stepped into the ring with the masterpiece Chris Masters.
You know, I just want to give my perspective on it first, and then like you can tell your side. So when you came in, you know, because that was also something that I was kind of instrumental in, was that match as well, and I wanted to manage you for that match, and I didn't have to do nothing. But I remember you telling Masters, "Hey, he's my manager tonight." Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, okay, well, he's going to talk to you about the match. And then he started trying to throw me into a lot of different stuff. And I was just like surprised that, you know, he was okay with like wanting to do some of that stuff. And we went out and did the match. And I won't ever forget, because as soon as me and you came back through the curtain, and this is peeling it back a little bit more, he grabs me by the arm and he looks at me. He goes, "Man, I wasn't expecting that." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Man, that was a great match." He says, "I really enjoyed it." That he brought it. Everything that he was doing was brought. You know who he reminds me of? And I was like, "Who's that?" He's like, "A Bam Bam Bigelow." He's like a Bam Bam. And you were you were a little bit bigger, on the bigger side at that time.
Right.
But you brought it. And he the only critique that I heard from the match was I choked him a little bit too hard when I was choking him on outside of the ring. Other than that, he said the match was perfect. Everything was great. And we've heard experiences with Chris Masters, and most of them were never that great.
Well,
You know,
definitely. Oh my God.
but that night with us, I thought that, you know, he talked to us like, I mean, he was just shooting stuff off us left and right. Like, hey, how about we do this? How about you do this with the referee that looks like Obama? Ref Obama. But and doing that, and I was just like, man, it was great. So what was your thoughts on it?
I first of all wasn't sure why I was even booked in that match. That was my first perspective on it. Like I just thought I'm hard on myself. Let's put it that way. Nothing to do with whoever booked it, how it come about. That's usually not so much these days, but usually the answer. Like you said, I remember walking around without this on in the back, and right before I went out, put it on, and he's like, "I didn't even know you wore a mask." I was like, "Yeah, I do." And we had the match, and he was very impressed. And I remember him telling me, he's like, "You look like a boy, but you hit like a man." He's like, "Get some tattoos and grow a beard, you'll be fine." But he seemed to be very, very, like you said, very genuinely surprised with what I was able to do. I treated him like I would treat anybody I wrestle with. I wasn't scared to do things because of his name value or anything like that. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. This is another one of my favorites. You know, Retro Jeff, before you speak, go off on this one. Retro Jeff, Big Van Vader, Angel Camacho reminded me of Big Van Vader more than Koloff here. Koloff did remind me of the big Bam Bam Bigelow, and both of them, Vader and Bam Bam.
I don't know that I could compare myself to those guys, but
Well,
I do appreciate it.
yeah. Well, Angel Camacho to me, one of the great guys. And when I first bought, all right, here we go. When I first bought it at AWA, what was the first match I booked?
It was me and Angel. Or put it to you this way: we had talked about bringing Angel in because you had good experiences with him at BIW, and I was all for it because it wasn't when we had the match, but it was not long after that because I always wanted to see how guys would do on our shows. That I had the idea that I wanted Angel to go on this. I wanted to win our title and go on this long run, as a monster, and I was excited for that match. We went out there, and I just remember vividly as far as crowd reaction wise, it's like top 3, top 5 matches I've ever had because we just had the crowd that night. It was something special. It was unlike any other show that I had ever been on. Just something about the crowd that night. It was a one of one moment, I would say.
It wasn't. Chris Chambers, I'm gonna get to your question in just a second, but with this that night, I remember when I talked to Angel, we had, I've refed him in Bordell a couple times at BIW. I've been around him. Just another great guy. I don't know if he wants me saying that, but he can cannonball.
He is a great guy, though. He is a great guy.
He is a great guy. But when I hit him up about booking him and said, "Hey man, we'll have you in a Koloff in a match," he's like, "Heel versus heel." I'm like, "No." He's like,
Yeah.
he goes, I said, "No." He calls a face, and he goes, "What? Where?" I said, "In South Mississippi." I said,
Bigger.
and he could not believe it when he heard you come out that night. He was like, he looked at me and he goes, "Damn, you were right." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "They love him here," and but that match
And me becoming a babyface was just based upon like
the fans.
I started getting cheered, and I can remember us being cheered at DCW a lot, and I remember like pitching the Gene like we should probably turn me, and he's like, "No, you're a heel." It's like, okay, oh, all right, well, we'll just go with it. And then in 2022, it was just like, let's give it to him, and we'll see how long it goes. And that's what we did. And so, yes, I was a babyface when we wrestled Angel, and the crowd was just the crowd. I will never forget that reaction that night. I hate Ray Fury too, Trevor, and I will tell you right now, I'm going to ruin his birthday bash. And if Lucha gets in my way, I'm going to ruin that too, just like I'm going to ruin his experience on Mario Kart. Anyway.
On Mario Kart. Yeah, Retro Maniac was wanting me and Lucha Liquor and any of the wrestlers to kind of stream Mario Kart on here. We may have to come up with some concept with that. Vlad, who is the Mount Rushmore of your dream opponents?
The first one would always be Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels would be the number one. Obviously, that will never happen. But next up would be probably Bret Hart because just he could have a good match with anyone. Man, that's tough. Those two come to mind instantly because those are the two that like I probably watched the most. As far as 3 and 4, I mean, honestly, right now, CM Punk maybe, and then Bryan Danielson. I will throw another one out there. William Regal. My God, William Regal is phenomenal.
Yeah, you've been around William Regal, but look, Vlad, I can't remember for sure, but have you matched up with Steve Anthony, who's another
I did match up with Steve Anthony very recently, back in the summer of last year. And I took that challenge very seriously. Steve Anthony has a pedigree that is unheard of around here. He's done things that none of us have ever done. Some of us will never do. And has earned the right of the respect given to him. And I was genuinely
He'll be
surprised.
on the show Wednesday. He'll be right here Wednesday.
I genuinely was surprised whenever that match was booked, and the ending got a little wonky. Not either one of our faults. Some stuff happened, but I hoped that I could work to his level or more. And I felt good about it. I definitely want to do it again. He would be somebody that I would want to wrestle again and more, just because it was a challenge. It was a test for myself. And will always
Yes,
will
he's
be.
still on here, George.
George
Koloff
Strong
and
is the worst referee on planet Earth.
Vlad versus. All right, Chambers, you have got to stop living at Taco Bell. Go home.
That would be if Seth Rollins would be a fun match, but whether that happens, we shall see.
Red Shoes needs more Koloff. That's true. Hulk Hogan or Hogan.
I mean, as far as money's concerned,
Booza versus Red Shoes. How about Booza versus Koloff? Koloff needs a red shoe.
we don't want to talk about you and your weird kinks, George.
What's your thoughts on World War III here with Humpty Dumpty having to say something here versus Nightmare?
So World War III was never intended to be World War III. It was never intended to be the match that it ended up being. But the circumstances with the clubhouse and everything that happened, and GCW, as I've been representing tonight, circumstances with the clubhouse happened, and we just said F it and threw everything against the wall and then tore that wall down. It again is up there as one of my genuine favorite matches. It was such an easy match to have, and to be one of Nightmare Jeremiah's last opponents for this year. He's retiring. It was an honor to me. I think very highly of Nightmare. A consummate pro.
All right, Marcho Henson has something to say. Even though Marcho don't talk to me no more since he don't get paid. But thoughts on the athletic commission? I guess I'm Brent and you're Scott because Marcho don't get paid.
All righty. So the athletic commission, he's talking about the Mississippi stuff. That is between those who were involved, and Big Vlad's not involved.
There you go. All right. So now let me get into this. I just want to ask you about a few people because we talked about it. Because I mean, we'll talk whenever. We've got no time limit on this. We're just going to talk till we drop. So let's go with this. I just want to bring this up. When DCW got bought, what about Tommy, Brent buying it and like kind of what unfolded after that? Because I know that they were kind of trying to sign people to exclusive contracts.
This is true. This is true. I actually found out about Brent buying DCW without him having to tell anybody. I'm not sure how he was going to go about telling anybody, but I know that I had a wrestler hit me up asking about DCW bookings. And he mentioned that Brent Ladner reached out to him for DCW. At the time, Brent Ladner was still part of AWA. To my knowledge, at that point, had no affiliation with DCW. All I knew was that Tommy had bought it. And that's where I found out Brent was part of it. So from there, I relayed information, went from there. Yes, I was approached by Tommy about, originally it was CWL, Combat Wrestling League. He bought that company first. And at the time, he was talking about exclusivity, and he was going to run the Haji Shrine, and had a lot of big dreams for what it could be, which is fine. It's all about execution. But he wanted me to be exclusive, 100-mile radius. And that is a word that I heard a lot the next couple of years.
That's a long 100-mile radius. In hindsight, when you look at it, it don't really look like that far. But then when you start talking about wrestling shows, it
just boiled down. It boiled down to he didn't want me to wrestle in any of the promotions around where he was running. And at the time, I was wrestling for DCW, which after Gene, then he had it, and it was the same thing, but for DCW. But at the time, I was wrestling for Gene. I was wrestling for AWA, and I had a sense of loyalty. And so, I mean, Tommy, my experiences with Tommy were always fine. Tommy was a nice guy to me. And I think he
I never
meant
had a
well.
real problem with Tommy.
I
Ever.
think he meant well. I'll give him that.
He did.
But it was just never going to happen like that because I've seen a lot of uh, companies have the same dreams and aspirations of what they're going to do. Um, how they're going to make this big like this, and it doesn't seem like the workforce follows suit with the dream. That makes sense. And so I just didn't see that being an actual thing. I didn't know that Tommy had a mind for the wrestling business, even though he had a business acumen from what he told me. So and then it's just like stabbing people in the back, and that's just not, especially those that have really helped me. And some of those people would, anyway. Um, but
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, real quick, if you don't
the
mind.
point is that I turned it down. Eventually, they wanted me to come work for them without the exclusivity, but that's the whole thing, whole different thing.
All right. So here's my thing, and I just
Say
want
what
to
you're
be.
gonna say real quick. I'm gonna go run and grab something. Come back.
Yeah. All right. Do that. So anyway, here's my thing when it comes to independent wrestling. Vladimir Koloff will be right back. No problem here. He's coming right back. But here's the thing: if you're an independent wrestler, do not do the exclusive thing. All right. Here's the problem: you have to, as an independent contractor, you need to get your name out there. You need to work for as many companies as you can. You need to improve. And if you're told that you can't wrestle anywhere but there, then you need to get out of that situation anyway. Because there is a million independent wrestling companies, even though they call themselves, they say they're not independent. Oh, we're not an independent company. Well, you're not WWE, you're not TNA, and you're not AEW. Okay? And when I look at it, WWE and AEW are the two major companies. TNA's been around the longest outside of WWE. It is still a great company. Congratulations, Trick Williams, by the way. But here's my thing, man. Like, get out. Work for everybody you can. Get noticed in every state you can. Because being exclusive to a company is not going to help you in the long run. You need to get your brand out there and work for as many companies as you can. Donnell, I'm still waiting for my chance to come on up to Maryland, but I guess that boat has sailed. But anyway, Carl, what about? Don't you think that a lot of these great talents that are out there, you have to get out. You have to spread your wings. You can't do it
You have
just
to
one
spread your
company.
wings. You have to wrestle in different locker rooms and different environments, different opponents. You can't have the same matches over and over again. And I don't mean like your style, but I mean like wrestling the same people over and over again. It's not conduit to growth. And I will say that I think that the concept of if you wrestle there, you can't wrestle here is very manipulative, especially to young people. Um,
Yes.
the biggest the here is the one thing that irked me very much about DCW, if we're just going to be open and blunt about it, is at the end of the day, I have no opinions on like their current product or anything like that. Like pro wrestling is pro wrestling. Everybody's going to do their own. Literally anyone can buy a ring and run a show. Um, but manipulation of these kids and not letting them have that opportunity to spread their wings. I've had a lot of DCW kids come to me unhappy. Situation gone sour. They felt that they weren't treated with value. Were not paid. Were not paid. Were not paid. Um,
But doing all the work.
and coming to me. I mean, there's some people that are even in this chat right now that like helped the venue that they run right now build that, like clean it up, build it up, and get it ready
Yep.
on their own time and paying dues and all that's great. But we're not paid. We're not treated with respect. We're made to be fearful of their wrestling career if they went and wrestled different places, and it's the same song and dance, they would come to me, and we tried to give them opportunities. But I never never
Well,
drew a line in the sand.
there was a couple that I wanted to give a very big chance to, and I think we can talk about this for AWA. They'll be guests tomorrow night. The Fox and the Jackal, right here on the Brilliant Show. We're going to talk about that. If you remember, I mean, me and you talked very highly about them. And
I remember that they come to an AWA event last year, and they watched the show, and we talked briefly, and I just told them that, what about opportunities? We can give you a shot. It's up to you to keep it going. They were very frustrated, very unhappy, and I will give both Asher and Kimber the platform to say that I believe that they've done a very good job. Not just for AWA, but just in general. They have spread their wings. They've put themselves in uncomfortable situations, not in a bad way, but they're challenging themselves to be better, to work hard. They are earning the opportunities given their way. I think very highly of them both, and I believe that they will go as far as they like.
I agree fully with that as well.
Even if Kimber is an asshole, but that's beside the point.
Well, she threw me out of the Rumble by my beard. What are you talking about? I thought we were friends.
Apparently not.
I still got a handprint on my chest from where she chopped me to. But anyway.
But yes, I don't. At the end of the day, you do whatever you want with your wrestling companies, but don't manipulate your talent.
No, not at all. I mean, because here's the thing: these kids don't realize, they're being told by you, manipulated by you, that you're the only game in town, that you're the only one that matters. You are the developmental company for WWE because you got somebody that used to work at WWE that doesn't work there no more. His brother may work there, but that don't necessarily mean you're going to get hired. But you're told that. And it's a bill of goods that you're sold. And I'm not trying to shit on anything, and I'm really not. I'm just trying to tell facts. But here's the thing. Spread your wings. Go to as many companies. Get into as many locker rooms as you can. Promote yourself. Put yourself out there. If you're uncomfortable, that's a good thing.
And here's the thing, too, about promoting yourself. Promote yourself even if you're not promoted. Make everything that you're doing a big deal. If you're just the wrestler that is just booked by happenstance on a card, let's say you have a show this Saturday and you're booked on a match, but they didn't put you on the flyer and they didn't put you on a match graphic or they didn't promote your match. Fuck that. Cut a promo. Make your own graphic. Throw yourself out there. I'll tell you this much. If Vladimir Koloff is not on the flyer, not on the match graphic, and not promoted by the company, I'm not sitting at home crying about it. Because I'm going to get on social media and I'm going to cut a promo. I'm going to cut a promo and I'm going to share the flyer and I'm going to let everyone know that it's a big deal that Vladimir Koloff is going to be in your town this weekend at this town. And my match is going to be a big deal regardless of what it is. You have to promote yourself. You have to treat yourself as a business at the end of the day.
You exactly do. And, that's what the kids need to know is there's no end all be all in the independent scene. If you're not signed to a contract by a major company, which when I say major company, I'm meaning WWE, AEW, or TNA, then you are an independent. Well, you're an independent contractor, even with WWE and stuff. Right. But the thing is, you're getting paid. You're making enough money to support your family at that level. So on this level, I don't care if they say they're not an independent company or if you're an independent company or whatever. You work as many places as you can. Get that experience in and just enjoy life. Speaking of TNA, I've been keeping up with TNA lately. They did sign my boy Hammerstone, and now he's not there. But when they did sign him, before he even was announced as a TNA, me and him had talked, and because he was coming in for the Mississippi Rumble that year, and he hit me up and he's like, "Hey man, don't tell nobody, but I'm with TNA now." I said, "Good deal." I said, "I'm happy for you, man. You deserve it." Blah blah blah. And then, right after he signed, I believe a certain person became security for Mustafa Ali, or I don't even know what his name is now. So let's talk about your experience with TNA. We know Braxton Hunter was there. We know Simon Phillips was there. Several other people were there. Matter of fact, Braxton got a match. He got thrown around on the pay-per-view, but on night 2 of that pay-per-view. But tell me about your experience.
It was my first opportunity to do any kind of extra work. I've never done it before, and that was since been my only opportunity. I'm very grateful to those who got that opportunity for me. I won't say names because I don't know if they want me to say names. But it was a very fun experience. Very humbling to be a part, and I had a great time. I was very fortunate to be there. I would love to do more, and maybe one day you see Vladimir Koloff not just being an escort guy or on an extra guy. Maybe one day you see him in the ring for TNA.
Well, you definitely need to be there. You deserve it. You've put the time in. You got the talent. You are the X Factor. And I'm not just saying that because you are my client now. But I'm saying that because I've always believed in you, and I've always been preaching that for years. I believe it was even Braxton Hunter, speaking of Braxton Hunter again, that said in the locker room one time, "Man, you can't listen to the King of Wrestling podcast without hearing Vladimir Koloff's name."
A lot of people had that general consensus because you have always been a very vocal proponent for me, and I'm very grateful for that.
Brady and Landry, I'm gonna tell you something, man. You need to hush up. I thought I shut your mouth at the Mississippi Rumble when I went in there and won the Mississippi Championship.
But hold on, Brett, how's your jaw? How's your jaw right now?
Oh yeah, you popped that jaw, did you? That's right.
And we can talk about that too. We still have a lot to touch on.
We hadn't even scratched the surface, and we've been on for 2 hours, like Brady and Landry said. So let's go back a little bit in time here. We talked about the TNA thing, which, man, I subscribed to TNA Plus that night just to see you.
It's funny you say that because I did give a little bit of business to TNA that night, because I told a few people that it might be an opportunity. You subscribed, you got the pay-per-view for that. Marcho got the pay-per-view for that. Lucy Blade, much credit to her. She didn't even have to. She got the pay-per-view for that. And I think there was one more that slips my mind at the moment, but got the pay-per-view just to see that. And there was a lot. I didn't expect the buzz that I got from it. Is it a big deal in hindsight? Probably not. It was a big deal to me at the time. And just a humbling opportunity. Very grateful.
Well, you and Braxton, and I hadn't said much about Braxton. I need to talk about Braxton a little bit too, because Braxton has also been around. I've been around Braxton a lot since I've been in here, and you took on Braxton in Tylertown, Mississippi one night for Pro Wrestling 225.
Yep.
I watched
that was my
match.
debut. My debut for Pro Wrestling 225 was that very match. We've been meant to be ever since.
Yeah, Braxton's another great guy and great talent out there as well. And just I've enjoyed watching his stuff over the years. He took a little break. He's come back. And since he's come back, he's just been on hot streak, and enjoyed watching that. There's just a lot of things that me and you can touch on, because there's a lot of experiences. And I don't know how many people know this. There's quite a few people that know this. That me and you, I guess, tear that wall down. I've been pretty close.
Yes.
Very close. And you, like I said, you've been very instrumental in what I've done. And without you, probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I'm appreciative of that. But we got to talk about our bad history.
Bad history. Let's talk about it.
We got to talk about the time that, as a matter of fact, it was me and you come up with this idea because a lot of fans said that they would only boo you if you joined forces with me.
This is true. This is true.
This has happened. Now, I tried to groom you back in the AWA days, and when you was with the Pride, and we know how all that turned out. But and I also was grooming you for Solid Steel Warfare, you and Charles. It just, that was one thing that I was disappointed that never played itself out, because I thought it was
I really wanted to eventually get to that point. But it was just not meant to be in that regard. But we are having the time of our life doing what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Yeah, Kimber, when he said groom, I was a little taken aback there. Grooming has a different meaning. At depending on what you're talking about.
Oh, hold on. First off, Sing Pit. I'm going to bring something up about this too. And Donnell, hold on, he didn't stutter. Groom, he didn't stutter. I didn't stutter. No, I didn't. I was trying to groom. I know that sounds like something P. Diddy would do, but that's not.
Maybe a little.
But, speaking of Gato, Sing Pit, you remember when Gato joined forces with Brilliant Ink?
I do remember when he joined forces with Brilliant Ink. He has always tried to find his way to Vladimir Koloff one way or another, because I'm pretty sure he joined Brilliant Ink just to beat me up. But the Sing Pet Gato, the same person. I don't know the dynamic that I'm in right now. He did double down on grooming. This is the canceled one coming soon to a theater near you.
Big Vlad's like Cassie and I'm P. Diddy. No.
Whoa. I'm okay. Maybe I need to go back to being an enemy of yours again. But yes, you did jump on me all those times just so I would align myself with Brandon Turner, because Brandon Turner's whole mission all this time was to get me to be a client, and here we are. It happened. But yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We got a good question here, because we're still in the investigation period here on the Brady Show with this Trey Reed.
Chase Matthews, end of story.
All right. So you say Chase Matthews. I actually reached out to Chase, and
he said it wasn't him.
Yeah, he says it wasn't him. I was going to try to get him on the Brady Show to defend himself. There's several suspects I've got. There's an Iceman.
Well, let's stop it here. Whoever it was, is a coward.
Yeah.
Is very scared to admit that it's who they are, because they know that they can't handle themselves at the end of the day, and they're very irrelevant to pro wrestling. And that's all we're gonna say about that.
Wait a minute. George says you're grooming me.
Vladimir Diddy. Red shoes. I know what you've done in those referee locker rooms. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Poor Shane.
Yeah, poor Shane and that baby oil. But the shoot show stuff, we may touch on that later. We'll get to whatever. But anyway, let's go to this. I want to bring up somebody, because we're over 2 hours and almost 2.5 hours of this Suge White. Now, Suge Suge ain't scared to tell you who he is. Suge come out. Suge Thug, baby. He gonna be on Thursday too.
Brandon's trying to groom Suge now.
Suge's great. Have you not seen Suge White? All right, come on now. You know, when I believe in somebody, Shane sucks. Yeah, that's true. He does.
That is true. Shane's trash.
But best shows. Brett Shoes is a buffer. Yes, he is. But I want to bring up something. Shane is always in the way. He is always in the way.
Shane is always dying.
Yeah, that's why he always gets this. All right. So, as you know, I've been talking about on the British show for weeks now, and I've called him out, and he blocked me on Facebook. Look, let's bring up Walter. I mean, Walter, not Walter. Walter.
Still white. Brandon. Oh my god. All right, Walter. Here's the thing about Walter. To put this mildly, he has no impact on anything that Vladimir Koloff's doing. That's it.
You know what he told me one time, though?
You just need to get Walter on the podcast. Walter has put his foot in his mouth quite a bit, including with me. And yeah.
All right. Ray Fury, I hope you're still listening to this because I want you to know that Walter.
He probably isn't.
No, he probably isn't. He's, fuck Ray Fury. But anyway, he told me one time that if it wasn't for Wrestling Wow, that Vladimir Koloff and Ray Fury would not be where they're at today. Now, this was 2021, I want to believe. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, they've been on my podcast, King of Wrestling Podcast, which had hundreds of thousands of downloads. And I never took credit for putting you or Ray Fury over. And my thing is this, is that, Walter, you've never helped wrestling. You've never contributed anything to wrestling. You're just a lazy bum. That's all I'm going to say.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang. You heard it here first. Breaking news. Brendan Turner still hates the worm.
Yeah. So
he's put to be fair, he's put his foot in his mouth quite a bit.
I think slime bag to people, man.
I think he's said a lot of things that he doesn't like keep the energy about once he's in person. But the thing is I think that he needs to grow up a little bit, and once he does, he may be all right. We shall see.
Yeah, he's got to grow up. He's got to mature a little bit. What about Me Too? Shannon Henderson.
MT2?
Yeah. Oh, we're not supposed to say that name. We don't make.
Oh, well, I did. I already spoke about MT2 earlier.
Yeah. All y'all bullies. Look, if there's a bully in here, it's Gato. I don't know where Gato all.
Facts. I mean, he's the one that makes people upset.
Yeah, he does.
I'm innocent. I've never done wrong.
But I can't say that Gato was wrong. Indie wrestling needs more cough and less worms. Sam, I'm gonna say this: independent wrestling needs more cough and less Humpty Dumptys too. Let's keep the energy like MT2. MT2 ain't got no energy. What are you talking about? He's got drama class, son. No, I hate Walter too. We know you do, Shannon. He found out your wife was a ring rat.
Wow. Out of pocket.
He said your wife was. I'm sorry. Not that she is, because she's not. She's a great person. I wasn't.
Melina's the sweetheart.
Yeah, she is. Very, very much so, and great. And when Walter said that, he deserved to get kicked in the nuts. Sink Pit, why are you saying that about Gato all caps? He's Lucy Blade's second favorite cat. Gato needs to go back to rehab. Okay. Let's see, Shannon. All love. Samuel
But
will.
let's get back on track.
Yeah, let's get back on track. Go ahead.
So we talked about AWA up until the celebration.
Yeah.
Haven't really had much of a chance to talk about Pro Wrestling 225, and
Yeah, let's talk about 225 because that's another great company out of Louisiana that is just killing it. And it reminds me a lot of what we were trying to do in AWA as well. Got a lot of great talent like Christian Blake. Jordan Jaws, another great talent down there.
you're mentioning a lot of people that piss me off.
I'm trying to get some goodness out of you. So go ahead.
He wants me to be angry. Is what it is.
There's the championship, baby. Forever champion.
Forever champion. Forever champion. Because here's the thing.
Well, I can't light it.
I want to talk about 225 and my history, but let's talk about the upcoming, the next thing, the next big thing. Saturday, July 26th, destined forever. Vladimir Koloff versus Christian Blake. A lot of people are calling it the final chapter in our story. However, if it's one thing that both me and Christian Blake know is that we will do this forever. This will never end. But on July 26th, I know that Christian Blake is going to leave it all in the ring. And I know that Vladimir Koloff is going to leave it all in the ring. But obsession is the result of the game. And I am obsessed with being Pro Wrestling 225 heavyweight champion. And I have proven that I will do whatever it takes to leave Denham Springs with this title right here. Can Christian Blake say the same? Trust me when I say I have my doubt.
Speaking of those lower boys, I mean over boys. You got
The underboys.
the under boys. You got to punch somebody I want to get to punch in the face.
Who's that?
Oh, Brett.
Man, when I say that was a pleasure, that was a true pleasure and an honor. Had
I
honor
bet
and
it
pride.
was.
You know something, Brett calls himself a saint, or believes he's a saint. Brett believes he's a saint, and that he's just trying to do the right thing. But the right thing wasn't becoming general manager of 225 so he could drop his boys up top. And he can say whatever he likes, but he has proven time and time again that his little overboys clique trumps his responsibility at Pro Wrestling 225. And so he finally, just a little bit, a tiny bit, paid for his sins at Honor and Pride. And trust me when I say that Bretty and Landry, if he continues to play favoritism, he will pay dearly all that much more.
So much. I can't stand Brett. He come on my show, try to take over my show.
I saw that. He thought he could make it better, and it was the shits. Worst episode ever.
Exactly. With him on here, with his smiling face, getting robbed, people breaking into his house. I'm telling you right now, I'm not campaigning for the job, but I'm just saying I believe that I would do a better job with GCW than Brett is. I don't even know what. Brett don't even have a plan.
He doesn't. He just wants to be general manager so he can screw with people.
Exactly. And that's what he is. He's like the Bernie Madoff of professional wrestling. He's a con man.
100%. He's a con man.
So, love the content. There we go.
Well, there we go. Thank you, MT2.
Yes, thank you. And we were just talking good about you. So hopefully that was okay. Brady and Landry is so unlikable. He is unlikable. Let's see. Luke Bates up on here. They'll ban you too. I can't get banned, son. What the? Screw Brady and Landry. Exactly, George. You're a ref. Me and you've never seen eye to eye, but you know that I would run GCW better than Brady and Landry, and I'm not even trying to campaign for it.
But George Strong eats peanut butter jelly the long way.
He does.
He does. He's not all the way there. He's not all the way there.
Nothing but love. Same here. Always. Miss Savage back on here. Brady and Landry had a whole PowerPoint. Y'all are
that is okay. That is okay because in all the time that Brett has spent watching this podcast, I've had JD return to his house. So there might be a few things missing, Brett, whenever you go to get up off your couch in your basement.
This is what Brady and Landry does. Throws out $5,000 fine. I'm paying that for you, George. Don't even worry about it.
You're gonna max your credit card out, Brandon. I'd be careful.
Hey. After 7 years, it gets off your credit. Anyway.
This is true. But yes, to kind of bounce back from craziness to what we were talking about, the match at Destined Forever is going to be big in Denham Springs. If you have ever enjoyed a Vladimir Koloff match, if you have ever been a Vladimir Koloff fan, I will say that it's a can't miss. It is a can't miss. And I'm looking forward to retaining my Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Championship. Being the Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Champion was a big goal of mine. And to now say that by July, I will be the longest reigning Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Champion in a single reign of all time means a lot to me.
Well, yeah, it's a great episode. You got two of the best in the business right here.
So where do we go? Where do we go?
Well, this is what I want to go to next, real quick. Brandon, are you paying Vladimir 10K fine for 225? Yeah. All right. So, yeah.
I called him that night. I let him know that Brett was trying to screw me, and he wrote a check.
Yeah, all day long, baby. All day long for my favorite client. But second, let's just say this. When is 225? When is this match again?
Destined Forever will be Saturday, July 26th in Denham Springs at North Park in the very building where I won my Iron Man match.
All right. So here it goes. I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. Denham Springs is about a 5-hour drive from me. 4.5, somewhere around there for me. I'm going to do everything in my power to be at that show that night. I'm going to try to make that show because that is going to be a special show. And if you're anywhere near the area, you need to be at 225. They always put on great shows. I've never been on a 225 show. But, 225 is a great show, and I will purchase a ticket just to go see that show. And August the 13th, 4 years, wow. What's Don here? He's smoking meth again?
I have been Assault Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Champion since August 13th, 2021. And in August, I will mark 4 years as champion. I've been the only reigning AWA champion there. Anyone in my path has been beaten. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to wrestle in that area.
How far is Denham Springs from Bay St. Louis? All you got to do, Luke Bates, I don't know if you know how to do this or not. You do have Google Maps. All you got to do is type in Denham Springs, Louisiana. From the location that you're at, it will tell you the exact time. That's the easiest way to find out. That's
I think about 2 hours, though. I think roughly 2 hours. But it's worth the drive. It's worth the drive. And the stories that I've been able to tell at Pro Wrestling 225 have been nothing short of phenomenal. I had what is the best match that I've ever had in North Park in that very venue, a 60-minute fatal 4-way Iron Man match. And Big Vlad is
Let's
going
touch
to.
on that, man.
Let's,
Not
let's,
many people can do that. And you had Wes Warren, you had Braxton Hunter, Simon Phillips was in it.
no, it was Jordan Jaw.
Jordan Jaw in it. Okay, Jordan Jaw, you, Wes, and Braxton, and hell of a match. But not even many indie wrestlers can say they went for an hour almost in a Iron Man match.
Well, let me say that I took the challenge very seriously, especially because if I recall correctly, I wasn't originally even supposed to be in the match. Um, but an Iron Man match has always been it was always a dream match of mine. It's very tough to sell those in independent wrestling. I think it's probably tough to sell those regardless. But me being a big Shawn Michaels fan, him doing the Iron Man match, I think that's kind of what clicked. And plus, it's just always wanted to prove that I could go. When once the wheels were in motion, it was the match was announced at Fright Night 2023 for February. Iron sharpens iron, North Park, Denham Springs. So we had about 2 or 3 months, probably about 2 months in, I started preparing for that match. And I got in the very best shape of my life ever, ever. And for 2 solid months, even through the holidays, my obsession was that match. That's all I thought about. I got in the gym and worked extra hard for that match. I dieted extra hard for that match. I wanted to be physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared to go 60 minutes. And I know it was a four-way, and there's some people, well, it wasn't one-on-one. I was prepared to be moving and wrestling every single second of that 60-minute match. And I believe that the four of us created something that will never be matched again. There's this thing about putting things on a pedestal. Maybe I'm doing that, but I don't care. That's how I feel about it. I believe we created something special. It was made Pro Wrestling 225's Match of the Year for 2024. In a year where I had incredible moments with Pro Wrestling 225. And that instantly became that night. It's not often that I can look at myself and go, that was my favorite match I've ever had. But that night, when it was all said and done, that took the top spot. That's my favorite match that I ever had. And much credit to Wes Warren, Jordan Jaw, Braxton Hunter. They told their story and then some in that match as well. I will never forget that night. I don't know that I'm probably going to forever chase energy like that night. So,
I mean,
and from there, I went on a hell of a run. I won the Super Gold. I beat Christian Blake in champion versus champion. I won the ladder match. I faced Lucha Lacora and defeated that monster. Maybe had some help, but also he had some help. So I'm not gonna, it balanced out. And from there, history has a fun way of doing things. Christian Blake now has won the Super Gold. The ink has been dried. It's me versus him for the heavyweight title, a title that I hold dear, more dear than anything in this world, and will do whatever it takes to ensure that I retain. And Saturday, July 26th, is going to be a big night for Vladimir Koloff. I will be Pro Wrestling 225 heavyweight champion on that day for 469 days. The thing I'm going to be celebrating is day 470 and beyond.
Forever champion.
Forever champion.
All right, one more thing I want to talk about. We'll start closing down here. Cajun Heat coming up.
Cajun Heat, that's right.
July the 12th, you're going to take on Brimstone, who was on the show last night. And we've both been around Brimstone a lot as well. Have a lot of respect for him myself. don't really care for him much, but I do have respect for him. You and Brimstone have fought up and down the Gulf
Literally
Coast.
all over this country. With me and
Yes.
Brimstone have wrestled each other,
Yes.
and he brings the best out to me. I feel like I bring the best out to him, and he's always someone that is going to bring it when you step into the ring with him, without a shadow of a doubt. Brimstone and me have kind of orbited for a long time. It wasn't up until about a few years ago, really, that we actually started wrestling against each other. But ever since then, that has been a marquee match anywhere we've been on the show. In any state that we've wrestled, it will be no different at Cajun Heat. The GSW Heavyweight Championship is on the line when I defend against Brimstone. And I told Brimstone at the last GSW show, he's good. Brimstone's very good. But when it comes to Vladimir Koloff, he's not shit. And I'm going to prove that when I retain my title that I have held for almost 2 years at GSW. But Brimstone, I will say, despite all that, genuinely one of my favorite opponents. He does bring the best out of me. We've had great matches in many companies, and I know this won't be the last one regardless.
Exactly, man. Well, before we start closing out, because we're going to have to get you back on. We got so much more to cover as well. But before we get out of here, man, go ahead, plug. You got merch. You got upcoming shows. We know you got couple upcoming shows and stuff. The floor is yours, man. Have at it.
Well, I just mentioned Destined Forever. Destined Forever, that's going to be a big show. Big show. Cajun Heat is going to be a big show. We've got a lot coming up this weekend. I've got Lost Art of Wrestling in Florence. I've got Biloxi for Combat Sports Pro. Coming up, we've got Crossfaith Wrestling League, 2-night event in Pensacola. New Heights Wrestling, making a lot of debuts and return. Florida is getting a lot more Koloff in the course of the next few months, and I could not be more grateful. Socials needs more Koloff. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's TikTok, that's YouTube. Needs more Koloff. Buy a shirt, ProWrestlingTees.com/Vladimir Koloff, or needs more Koloff. Needs more Koloff. ProWrestlingTees.com/needs more Koloff. Anytime you buy merchandise from me, especially at the merchandise table, it directly benefits the business such as Vladimir Koloff, and business is good. I feel very grateful, very fortunate that I get to do this. This is what I've wanted to do my entire life. All I've wanted to be is a pro wrestler. I tell people all the time that I'm just going to keep going until the wheels fall off. But to be able to say that I am a professional wrestler, especially when there was a point in my life that I didn't think I ever would, I am forever grateful for that. And as a result, I just try my best to give everyone that supports me, even those that don't, everything that I have in return. I mean it when I say that I'm forever. I mean it when I feel that you need more Koloff.
Well, thank you for joining us. Just hang in there for a minute. When we come back, me and you're going to talk in just a minute, but thank you for joining us. I hope you had a fun time right here on the Brilliant Show tonight.
I had a blast.
Tomorrow night, right here on the Brilliant Show, we're going to have the Fox and the Jackal. Kimber Fox and Asher Andrews coming on tomorrow night. Don't miss it. Thank you for joining us. Remember to check us out on all Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, Audible, and many, many more. You can watch us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And thank you, Chris Chambers. It was a great show. Sam, he is good at doing advice. Donnell, thank you, even though you don't book me. But thank you for joining us right here on the Brilliant Show. We'll see you tomorrow night with the Fox and the Jackal.
Lights blaze bright, it's a glorious sight. The champ of the mic owns the night. With a mind so slick and a suit so clean, he's running this this ring like a wrestling machine. From gold-plated deals to jaw-dropping schemes, he's the mastermind